All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Some Random Guy Speaks. I am your host, Tony G, and we are about to get started. You know what I'm saying? We're about to get started, ladies and gentlemen. So, this topic is going to be we're going to be talking about in the Trump's executive order in regards to enforcing common sense rules of the road for American truckers. So this is what we're going to be talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Um, we're going to go over the actual video here. I like his hat where it says "Mother Trucker," and yeah, we're gonna. I've been meaning to get into this or get into it, and we are going to get into it. And I'm gonna wait for some other people to show up. So, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, hope everybody is having a wonderful day and things. And yep, always hitting the wrong button. There we go. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I know the day is really nice out. It's a little chilly here in Michigan, but yeah, we're gonna wait for some other people to come into the room here. I said I was gonna be doing another live. I appreciate you all for showing up yesterday and things. You know what I'm saying? Some of my supporters and things. I'm gonna actually give a shout out to my supporters as well, and things. So we got Sherry and things. Let me do my that's for Sherry right there. Sherry lady. Sherry lady. Oh yeah, she likes that song. So that's for Sherry though. And then we got my fellas in the house as well. So I'd like to give a shout out to John Paddock. I'd like to give a shout out to 1000 RR as well. There we go. I'd like to give a shout out to my boy, Brother Dwight, keeping it right with Brother Dwight. Yeah, Dwight Owens. Let me go ahead and do that again. Let me see here. We have a few others out there as well. We have Dan the Corn Man, Barbecue Roadkill. Give a shout out to you guys. Well, I'm also give a shout out to Billy White, keeping it right with Billy White, as well. So yeah, let me see who else. Am I missing anybody? Oh yeah, and Omega, man, I can't forget about Omega. I saw him yesterday. Yeah, shout out to Omega as well. Omega, yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. So yeah, shouts out to you. Shout out to everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, we got Angelica. Shout out to Angelica. Can't forget about Angelica. You know, all the ladies get the harp. And the fellas get the horn. That's the way it goes. So yeah, so I'm waiting on some other people to come into the live chat because we're going to be doing a live stream and we're going to be talking about this particular topic today. So let me move this out the way. So yeah, we're going to be talking about this particular topic, and we know what the topic is. It's once again, we're talking about enforcing common sense rules of the road for American truck drivers. And I'm just going to wait for people to come in, and then I'm going to go ahead on and play this video here, this YouTube video and things. And yeah, so I'm just going to let him talk about what has been going on. In fact, let me go ahead and reset it here before we go a little further. Let's go ahead and yeah, there we go. Stop it right there. Hope possibly another commercial may play. But yeah, I just want you guys, I'm waiting for people to come into the room. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to Some Random Guy Speaks and things. So therefore, this gentleman here is going to be going over the what we say what I was saying in regards to the common sense rules, right? The common sense, right? We're going to be going over this stuff and the truckers, because this is real, ladies and gentlemen. Trump signed an executive order, I believe, April the 28th, 2025, requiring all truckers to have to pass an English, lit test, basically an English test, testing their proficiency in regards to English. They have to be able to read out loud. and they have to also write what they read. You know what I'm saying? So they have to be able to read the signs, the stop signs and stuff. Because what I've been noticing in things in my area where I live at, there's a lot of Middle Eastern people. The problem with it is that, and I've seen this, where you know how you have like a four-way stop, right? Whoever is stopped first get to go. What I've been noticing with some of the foreigners, especially, they'll go head on and they'll stop and then they'll take off and go. So they don't understand or seem to understand what the common courtesy is for a four-way stop. Also, who has the right of way, right? This is a big one. I get sick and tired of going down neighborhood streets, right? Side streets, right? Neighborhood streets. Now, we already know if I'm coming from the north heading south, I automatically have the right of way, right? But tell me why they coming from the south heading north, and they will not. They're supposed to pull over on the side to give me the courtesy, because I have the right of way. It's common sense stuff like this that they don't seem to understand. And what they've been doing, and I'm gonna let you guys know, what they've been doing is simply this. They'll get their driver's lessons, you know, whether it's Spanish classes, everybody's speaking Spanish, or Arabic, right? What is wrong with that issue? The roads are, the signs and stuff are not in Arabic and Spanish, they're in English. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, the tests shouldn't have any type of special requirements. And, you know, so with the truck driving thing, it's like this is something that have always been in effect. This is not something new. Trump just reinforced it, but it was always here, but it was never enforced until recently. So this is a major, major victory for people that live here, that are from here, and then for people that become Americans as well. You guys are proficient in English. I know a lot. I got a friend of mine. He's been living here for a long time. He's from China, and he got his American citizenship. He always pride on his vocabulary. His vocabulary is very good. He's been over here for over 25 years. It should be. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, he's been doing good. And there's other people, I got friends too, you know, that can read English and can write. And this is important, you know. So people are being arrested. There was a guy, I think he was actually Indian, Sikh with the turban, Punjabi, you know, them guys. A few of them gotten arrested because they couldn't pass the English test. It's like, what are you doing on the road, dude? You got to be able to understand the signs and the signage on the road, because this is dangerous. You're operating heavy machinery at the same time. Lives are at stake. You see what I'm saying? So you have to be able, if they get pulled over and they got to interact with the law, that's another thing. They got to talk to the law enforcement. Now, most of the time, state troopers have that jurisdiction where they can pull them over on the highway, you know, if they're overweight or whatever, or any other type of violations, you know what I'm saying? Tractor trailers and all this stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of safety in things. You just can't mount stuff up on a truck. They have to pass a safety inspection, you know what I'm saying? And random, they'll still get pulled over. But now, you know, the word on the street is that a lot of these foreign guys that are not that good in English are quitting the trucking. And then here's the thing about it. And I'm going to let this guy tell you guys as well, but I just wanted to say this. When they're getting pulled over, I'm talking about the driver itself. The driver himself or her, you know, himself, they're getting fined $5,000, and they have to pay it right there on the spot, or do not pass to go, you know, as far as to go to jail, because if they fail to pay it for that fine, they have to pay it or they go to jail. No exceptions, right? And these truckers have been getting arrested, like a lot of the foreign ones, right? They've been getting arrested. And then what happened is that the people that have hired them, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They are getting fined $10,000 to the trucking company. So this is another thing. So we're going to go over it. This is something I said I wanted to get into. This is a new day, beautiful time right now for America. And yeah, because Trump have already made an announcement a while back with wrote executive. He's claimed, or he not claimed, but he officially stated that English is the national language of America, not Spanish, not Arabic, right? Not any of these other language, right? It's English, right? Straight up English. So if you cannot speak English fluently, I would suggest for some of you guys, because now they have to go to school and they have to learn English. And they're going to have to write, reading, writing. They're going to have to learn how to do this, so because it's going to be very difficult for them. And I'm going to say this too, because, I'm an Uber driver. In my opinion, right, this may come down to cab drivers, ride share drivers. I can see this stuff coming, right? You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's all a safety issue. You know what I mean? So I can see this stuff happening, because if you are driving a cab, driving an Uber, and don't know how to speak English, that is a major issue. You see what I'm saying? You can memorize the streets and know where you're going, but if you can't read the signage, if you don't understand the basic instructions and things, what not to do and so forth, that's a major issue. And I'm telling y'all right now, I'm calling it right now. I can see that, let's say, spreading out like a reciprocity in these other forms of transportation, right? So if they're already doing it with the CDL licensing for truck drivers, I could see it with the cabs. I got a chauffeur's license, but I could see this coming. You know what I mean? So if they don't ship up, they're going to have to ship out. It's just how it is. So other than that, though, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I'm just, you know what I'm saying, just talking about this and things, and, did all my shouts out and all that. Saw Sherry's comment earlier. I'm sorry, yesterday. I know I commented back. She said she finally put the face with the voice, and and sometimes I do show myself though, and things, but for this video today, I think it make it a little bit easier for me to I'm gonna put this up and things. I got a lot of stuff to do and a lot of arrangement and stuff, so I figured I'd just do it this way. But let's go ahead and play this video. I guess other people will catch up. They understand what's going on. So let's go on and play it.
News. This is definitely the biggest news in a long time. President Trump signing an executive order that all truck drivers have to speak English proficiently, right? And
let me know if you can hear it.
It was a TikTok video that came out.
Yes.
And then Caroline Levitt comes out and basically makes an X post. And at that point, that's when everybody's like, wow, this is truly happening. I look on YouTube, I look on all social medias, and you see Craig Fuller from Freight Waves. You see everybody talking about this, and you're like, okay, this right here is real, right? Georgia O'Connor even emailed me from OOIDA stating that the President Todd Spencer agrees with this, and even got confirmation from Sean Duffy, Secretary of Transportation. So all this is true and in line, right? So let's get into today's video right here. Very interesting stuff. Tell me you agree or disagree, but I'd love to share this information with you guys because it definitely affects all.
Why do I use Navan?
No one asked you,
guys.
It makes managing business travel spend so
truck drivers in America.
And then the third executive order, which actually speaks to the heart of your question earlier about the Uber drivers, will be a order directing the Department of Transportation to include English literacy tests for our truckers. This is a big problem in the trucking community that, unless you're in that community, you might not know. But there's a lot of communication problems between truckers on the road, with federal officials and local officials as well, which obviously is a public safety risk. So we're going to ensure that our truckers, who are the backbone of our economy, are all able to speak English. That's a very common sense policy in the United States of America. So the president will be signing that later this afternoon.
Promise made, promise kept. They did mention something about the
recently,
Ubers.
A fact check from the White House just came out that says President Donald J. Trump enforces common sense rules of the road for America's truck drivers. So for people that are new, that might not understand, when you get your CDL, you have to take a road test, and that already has to be in English. There's actually already a FMCSA rule that states that you have to be English proficient and that you're able to read the signs, right? So him making an executive order of this, why is that so important? Well, that was something federally, but on the state level, people were doing different things. I'm going to go into a timeline so you guys have a better understanding of this for the people that aren't in the trucking industry. So George O'Connor from the OIDA writes me an email as well that says, "Hi, Alex. Just wanted to share the below statement from Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association, OOIDA. President Todd Spencer regarding today's anticipated executive order to be signed by President Trump that ensures truckers operating a commercial vehicle in the United States are qualified and proficient English speakers. Secretary Duffy has confirmed the upcoming announcement as well." So this is 100% true, right? So pretty much Todd Spencer himself, president of OIDA, and says the 150,000 truckers will probably represent, strongly support President Trump's decision to resume enforcement of English proficiency requirements for commercial drivers. Okay, so it states here, basic English skills are essential for reading critical road signs, understanding emergency instructions, and interacting with law enforcement. So road signs save lives, but only when they're understood. So I truly believe this too. So let me give you guys this timeline here. In April of 2015, Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, CVSA, removes English language proficiency as an out-of-service violation. So you could get a fine for this, for not speaking enough English and being proficient, but it wasn't an out-of-service violation. June 2016, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration issues guidance loosening English language proficiency enforcement. Overall, mother truckers, this is the biggest news from the president, from the White House, that's targeting trucking. So please tell me how you feel about this, but I just want to give you the information that's in hand.
Yeah, guys. So it is what it is. It is what it is. So people that's here, and if you're here legally, there's no excuse for you not to be able to understand English, speak English, and be fluent in it or efficient, as well as to be able to write in English. No excuse. No excuse. It's a new day. So for these guys that are here in America, yeah, that's going to be an issue because your money is going to be at stake. So, like I said, I don't think it's going to stop with truckers. I think it's going to go on because, it's like you said, it's the transportation. That a lot of these cities have to deal with. They have to deal with the limousine transportation industry, and it's now it can go to that level. Cab drivers can also be affected with it because we know how much of this language that some of them know. But yeah, new day, man. New day. So I want to show what is going on today as well. We're going to talk about it. So you see an executive order here. I got to pull it up too, by the way. In fact, I'm going to go over that here, over the executive order. He's already showing some of the clippings. And then I'm going to bring up, I'm going to read some up here. Let me see here. Yep. Here we go. By the authority vested in me as President of the Constitution of the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered that one proposal, right? Section 1 purpose, right? American truck drivers are essential to the strength of our economy, the security of our nation, and our livelihood of American people. Everyday truckers perform the demand and dangerous work that they do. From transporting the nation good to businesses, customers, and communities, safety, reliability, and yeah, you know, effectively. Sorry about that, y'all. So that's what it is. This is what it is. You can find this on his executive orders. This is executive orders. 14 common sense rules of roll for American drivers. This is it right here. We're going to pull this up. You can Google it. And it's all laid out here. Talking about people with the CDL license, right? It says here for commercial drivers, license, security, paper, commercial motor vehicle operation. This is cab drivers. Like anybody in the transportation, I don't stop.
It's 2031, and I finally qualify for Mint 55 Plus, an exclusive plan.
Yeah, sorry about that here. This guy here, man. What's his name? Reynolds. Yeah. Yeah. But at any event, ladies and gentlemen, so yeah, it is what it is, And let me see if I can pull up something else though, too, because yeah, this is pretty big, and it already have hit. Here's
Hey
another
everyone,
one
it's
here.
Jonathan here, founder of Driving Academy. And if you haven't heard already, there's a new executive order that might affect truck drivers in a big way. Now, Donald Trump, our president, has actually come up and signed an executive order on April 28th of 2025. And this executive order is specifically targeting the trucking industry. Now, before we actually start going crazy and coming up with all the assumptions, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Is it good for me if I want to get myself a CDL license? We've decided to kind of calm everything down and just keep things as simple as possible, right? We want to educate you on exactly what the order says, why it actually was put in place, what kind of history was behind that, and ultimately, how is it going to affect you? If you have a CDL license now and you're currently using it to make a living, is it going to affect you in a big way? Or if you want to kind of get into the industry and get yourself a CDL license with the best CDL school in the country, hint, hint, Driving Academy, right? And then it might affect you one way or the other. But at the end of the day, let's watch the whole video and make sure that we're going to answer all of your concerns. And if there's ever any questions after, make sure you definitely put in the comments below so my team can respond to you, and maybe we'll make another video for you as well. So let's talk about what the actual executive order is. The executive order was signed to actually say that truck drivers must read and speak the basics of English. And that's pretty much what it says, right? So a lot of people are kind of concerned with, why is this actually going in place? This is a country built on immigrants. Why do people have to speak English? Well, when you think about the common sense things, right? I've been traveling around the world, and one of the things that we are definitely spoiled as Americans is, well, like for instance, I was in Dubai, and the signs in Dubai, there was letters I couldn't even read. But we are spoiled because they actually have it in English as well, so it's easy for us to kind of communicate and go. If I was in a country that I had no idea what the signs meant, it would make it very dangerous for me as an individual driving, especially a big tractor trailer that I'm actually driving for money. So the common sense idea here is, hey, let's make sure everyone has an even playing field, that communication can actually be held when it comes to maybe with a truck driver and law enforcement, or just being able to read signs or interacting with other truck drivers. And it kind of makes sense. Now, when you actually think about it, is this something new? After my team kind of did the research, we wound up finding out in 2016 is actually when things started to change. Prior to 2016, law enforcement, like the DOT across the country, had the ability to make a trucker out of service if they could not show that they spoke English enough, right? And that's kind of scary, where all of a sudden you're driving, you're making a living, and all of a sudden you can't speak English enough and you can't work anymore. In 2016, the FMCSA, which is a government agency, actually kind of got rid of that rule and made it a lot more relaxed. So all the Trump administration is trying to do is kind of go back to a more common sense law, where it's not going to be as strict as it was
I mentioned earlier,
2016, but it's definitely going to be more strict than it is currently. Right now, there's a two-step process to actually get yourself a CDL license. Step number one is taking the permit test. Now, the permit test in most states can actually be done in English or in Spanish. In other states, they actually offer more languages besides just Spanish itself. Now, the thought
Yeah, now I got to do a little bit of a pushback, ladies and gentlemen. And you if you pretty much know what I'm going to say, why does the test have to be in Spanish? Because if we have been declared as an English-speaking country, there should be no other alternatives. And I'm hoping and that they would take those IVRs, when you call up your business, when you got to pay your bills on, calling them up, and you get the prompts. Well, press 1 for English, 2 in Spanish. We don't need that. We don't need that. They have to step their game up, man. And a lot of them been in this country long enough. There's no reason in the world that you are not proficient in English. And there should not be any accommodations. And I would like to see those taken down. You know what I'm saying? So even though I know how to speak some Spanish, but I mean, we are in an English speaking country. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're in a household that speaks Spanish, that's different. Nobody say you can't speak Spanish at all. You just can't expect for people to accommodate you in the educational system and all the rest of this nonsense, though. But I get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that much of a stickler on that. It just, I'm talking about this test right now. This test should be English only, not Spanish. This is not a Spanish speaking country. It is a English speaking country, right? So yeah, so I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on regards to that. Let's go ahead and continue.
The process behind that is it's more important for you to fully understand the knowledge versus just understanding the language, which is fine. Now, a lot of people have the concern, hey, is this actually going to change in the future? Do I have to take the written test in English itself? And there's no indication of that happening anytime soon. One of the main reasons that is because the permit test is done at the state level and not the federal level itself, which means every state's going to have the ability to kind of make sure that they're able to give that permit test however they want. However, once you actually get your CDL license.
Yeah, that's the pushback right there. Because we know with the liberal states, they're going to go ahead and include it in Spanish, you know, which is not fair. Because if you're going to take a test in Spanish, right, you're going to still have to be proficient in speaking and being able to read and write in English, right? Especially when you're dealing with law enforcement. So this is the thing that I don't like. The law, this is a federal law that has been, the executive order, right? And we want other states to adhere to it. All this Spanish speaking stuff, oh yeah, we're going to have a test in Spanish. No, you're going to have a test in English because what they're going to be up against is going to be in English, right? You don't see no Spanish speaking signage or whatever, unless if you're going in there, what is it, East Los Angeles and certain areas like that. But come on, this is not the real world. The real world is all the signs are in English, not in Arabic, not in Spanish, not in French, but in English. So let's go ahead and continue.
License, then in that case, now you're under the federal guidelines because you're crossing over state lines. And that's where the actual CDL road test comes in. Because the CDL road test is controlled on the federal level, and all the states have to kind of follow the same process. And for many years since the beginning, the CDL road test had to be done in English, which means at that point, you have to understand how to do an inspection in English, which means being able to speak an entire speech on how to inspect the alternator as an example, or the tires. And it can't be done in any other language. And it has to be English to the point where the examiner can understand you and be able to grade you. Next part of the road test is going to be actually parking. So the examiner is going to give you a bunch of instructions in English, and then you're going to have to be able to do those instructions correctly. If you don't follow the instructions, what do you think is going to happen? You fail. If English is not your primary language, or it is, and you don't follow the instructions, it's the same thing across the board. And ultimately, after you pass that part, the third part of the test is actually driving the truck on the road itself. And for that, what actually is going to happen is the examiner is going to say, okay, at the light, turn left. At the next stop sign, turn right, as this example. And if you can't understand those directions, again, you will fail. So that leads you to believe, okay, if those are the steps to actually get yourself a CDL license, how in the world could there actually be drivers out there who don't know any English at all? And that only leads to one thing. That means people are kind of going through the shadows of the system and being shady and getting their CDL license without following the proper steps and procedures. And anytime you do that, eventually you will get caught, right? So that being said,
yeah, because what they do is they'll get somebody that may look like them, somebody that they can pay a few dollars to go in there and take tests and everything, you know, which that's another issue. You know what I'm saying? Because, yeah, I'm glad. I am for this new ruling. I'm for it. Absolutely. I'm for it. Because that's going to cut down on, let's say, when it comes down to safety and stuff like that. Because most of the time I see truckers, and sometimes I see truckers doing stupid stuff. You can always tell when they're tired, right? Because they start taking more lane than what's necessary, you know. And I see this Because, I'm on the road a lot myself, like a trucker. And I thought about getting my CDL too, which I still may do. You know what I'm saying? As soon as I get some other situations out the way, I'm thinking, considering going to trucking school. I got friends that are truck drivers, but damn well I can read as well as write. I could take a test in English. All the tests, all my life has been in English. So let's go on and continue.
What does that mean to the actual trucking industry as a whole? If you get a CDL license in a shady way, I would definitely watch over my back. And especially if you don't know English, start taking some English classes, because that's really the only reason why you're here, right? But ultimately, if you're watching this video, you know more than enough English to actually pass any tests and kind of meet any requirements, because it's all about understanding the basics of English itself. Now that we understand what the executive order actually is and kind of its history, what happens when we kind of look into the future? So if all of a sudden there's a lot of people caught in this shady environment, where I hear a lot of stories of kind of immigrants coming in, finding a shady way on how to get their CDL license and kind of getting on the road without any English whatsoever, if that number seems to be a lot bigger than what people think it is, that's going to cause a big gap in the actual trucking industry. And President Trump actually said that truckers are definitely the backbone of the U.S. economy. So it's definitely might cause an actual driver shortage. So this might be a problem to some, but when it's a problem to some, usually you can find an opportunity for others to succeed. What is the opportunity here? If a lot of people are caught without knowing how to speak English and they're taken off the road completely, that's going to open up a lot of jobs for people like you who are thinking about changing their career and getting themselves into a career that's going to pay them a lot of money and give them the freedom that they want and to create the future that they want, right? Our mission here at Driving Academy is to help 1 million people get on the road to freedom. And every time we turn, it always looks brighter and brighter for truck drivers to actually get into the industry, because think about it. Anytime there's a big gap, and you talk about supply and demand, that means somebody has to fill that demand itself. And now all of a sudden, when there's supply and demand issues, your salary continues to go up. So if you're kind of on the fence and being like, hey, is now the right time to get a CDL license because English is not my first language? Well, I want to kind of let you know that most of our locations actually offer Spanish-speaking instructors. So that means we're able to communicate with you in your native language, make sure you fully understand it, and we'll educate you on the English piece to make sure that you have the basics understandings of English, so you have no issues of getting your CDL license and keeping it for the rest of your life. Because ultimately, our mission, like I said, is to help 1 million people get on the road to freedom. What's more free than driving where you want to go, making more money while you're doing it, right? An average truck driver currently makes about $75,000 per year, and that's a lot of money. That's a lot higher than the industry average across the country. And like I said, if you're watching this video and you understand it, you're not going to have any issue when it comes to actually getting yourself a CDL license here with us. So check out our website, cdldrivingacademy.com. Contact any of our locations near you and just ask them specifically, hey, do you have any Spanish-speaking instructors or any other instructors that speak any other language? And we'll be telling you right then and there in how we can actually help you out no matter what kind of language you actually are starting off from. If you are interested and you're serious about changing your life, we are the best option for you. We're committed to help you get your CDL license, because we even have our guaranteed training courses, which means you pay one price, you have over 100 hours of training, so you have all the infrastructure that you need, and it comes with unlimited tries at the road test. We're open up 7 days a week, and all you need to get started is $500 down. So what are you waiting for? Let's take this chaos and turn it into opportunity and change your future and your family's future forever. Check out our website, cdldrivingacademy.com. Thanks.
See this?
All right.
This is a 400-ounce bar of
All
solid
right,
gold.
Let's go ahead and stop that. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, I should say whoever the person is, it ain't like I got a lot of people in the room today. Yeah, it seems like the algorithms, when I'm not on the vertical and when I'm on my computer, the algorithm don't hit as much as it does on my phone. I've never been able to figure that out. But if I was on my phone doing this, I have a lot more people. It's interesting though, but show must go on. It is what it is. So, yep. So you heard that. Talked about, the new executive order from Donald Trump, you know what I'm saying, when it come down to common sense on the driver on the road, safety on the road, basically. So, yeah, so that's basically what it is. And yeah, so I know I said a whole lot yesterday in regards to what has been going on with the Dems and stuff. And I know they are going to be upset with this one too. And they're going to call this racist, even when I'm making statements about how they should be learning English. Oh, he's a racist. He's a racist. He's a racist. This is some random guy, man. He's a racist. How he's going to be a racist when he's black, I'm not actually black. I'm brown. You know, I'm like a dark brown. You know, I'm actually like the color of a chocolate lab. You know what I'm saying? That's why I like chocolate labs. I like the black lab too. Shit, the black lab is darker than me. I ain't even black. You know, but I get it though. You know what I'm saying? You know, but I'm more like a dark, chocolate lab color. You know. So that's the thing about that. So, but yeah, other than that though, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, this is you know, it's pretty interesting though. You know, it's coming down now. So I wonder what they would do. Are they gonna go out here and learn English now that their livelihood is on the line? Can you imagine though? You wake up one day and find out that your livelihood has been stripped from you. Like, oh my gosh, you know. But a lot of these guys are going to be all right, you know. But again, this is mainly in regards to making sure that people do it right, you know. English is an important thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed you know, I enjoyed the stream yesterday. But yeah, so this is basically what it is. I think we're going to probably do another here. You know what I'm saying? So let me see here. Where's she at? Where's she at? Because yeah, here she go right here.
Hey guys, welcome back. Well, it's another video about English proficiency, but this time it's much bigger than any state law like Arkansas or Oklahoma, because as of yesterday, Monday, April 28th, English proficiency requirements and enforcement went federal, meaning applying to each and every state. Now, I know that English proficiency is already a law that is within the FMCSA. However, it is not enforced. The thing that makes this such big news is that it's about to return to the out of service criteria. So let's talk about the executive order that was signed yesterday, what it's all about, and what it means for the future. Ready? Let's go. Now, to understand this executive order, we need to understand why it's happening. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has long required commercial motor vehicle drivers to understand and speak English well enough in order to be able to understand and read traffic signs, communicate with officers and the public, and this was all in the name of safety. But enforcement has been pretty spotty and at times non-existent. The question is, why? Well, in 2016, the FMCSA issued guidance that kind of scaled back that strict enforcement, and it allowed certain drivers with a lack of English proficiency to operate under certain conditions. Now, this was in response to, at least some people say it was in response to, but the fact is it happened right after the Commercial Motor Vehicle Safety Alliance, the CVSA, removed English proficiency from the out-of-service criteria, which basically made it impossible to place a driver out of service for a lack of English proficiency. Now, let's fast forward to 2025. Trump's team, including Secretary Sean Duffy, argued that clear communication ensures that drivers can follow safety protocols and ultimately avoid accidents. So now that I gave you a little bit of a background, let's get into this executive order straight from the White House, which is titled Enforcing Common Sense Rules of the Road for America's Truck Driver. And this is what it says. Number one, it instructs the FMCSA to revoke the 2016 guidance that relaxed enforcement for English proficiency. Number two, it instructs that the out-of-service criteria must be updated to reflect that drivers who are not proficient enough in English be placed out of service. Number three,
are you looking to start your own business?
All right.
Well,
Sorry
look no
about
further
this.
than
Another
busy.com.
commercial.
Right now, we'll complete your
I should
LLC.
sign in on my
it
other
instructs
account. There we
Secretary
go.
Sean Duffy to, and I quote, review state
Now,
issuance
before I go
of
any further,
non-domiciled CDLs to
I'm not going to play the whole video this time because some of you guys have got it, and and welcome to the channel for some of you guys who's just coming on my live. I've been covering one video. You guys know the title already. Donald Trump signed an executive order back in what was it, April the 28th, 2025. So you know basically what it is. So we just been talking about the enforcing common sense rules of the road for American truck drivers. So that's what we've been covering here. So here I'm just over here showing a video here. Let me go ahead and play it again for you guys that are just coming on and things like that. And she's explaining what is going on exactly.
Identify any irregularities and ensure American drivers are validly licensed and qualified. And number 4, the order directs the Secretary of Transportation to carry out additional administrative, regulatory, or enforcement actions to improve the working conditions of America's truck drivers. Now, all of this is directed to happen within 60 days of the executive order being signed. To top it off, and I'm going to quote this, a press release issued by the DOT yesterday recognized the executive order and called on the CVSA to update the out-of-service criteria to include the English proficiency standard. So now what does that mean? Well, we kind of talked about it in a video I did on Arkansas when they just passed the law, but I'm happy to repeat it again. If it's enforced the way it is written, then it might be a game changer. Since it's a federal law and it's a federal enforcement, that is the key word, enforcement, it's going to apply to all states. Now, think about it. I don't have the exact numbers of how many folks in the industry lack the English proficiency as defined by the FMCSA, but I'm pretty sure there are quite a few of them, at least from the comments I read and from what I hear from my team who is out on the road. Now let's jump a little bit ahead and talk about out of service orders. I'm going to give you an example, which probably a lot of you are very familiar with. This happened to us a couple of times, unfortunately. If you have a leaky tire, for example, and you're placed out of service, how do you get back on the road? Well, you have to change that tire. And very often, at least from my experience, they won't even let you drive 2 miles down the road to a truck stop. No, they place you out of service, which means your truck stays put until you change that tire, which means roadside assistance. Same thing with hours of service, out of service, right? If you are violating your logbook, they'll place you out of service and often order you to stay put for 10 hours. So the question that I had right away is, what does it take to get back on the road if you're placed out of service for a lack of English proficiency? Because that is not as easy to correct as, let's say, a screwed up tire. Now, of course, I tried to dig up to see what happened before, because there was a time when English proficiency was part of the out of service criteria, but sadly, I came up short. I couldn't find anything. So anyone know? If you do, let me know in the comments. But yeah, I would imagine that getting this particular out of service order lifted when it relates to English proficiency would be a little bit more challenging. I don't know, let me know. But out of service orders are not just a pain in the butt when they happen, although they do kind of steal your time, right? And time is money. The bigger issue is constant out of service orders, especially if they're being repeated in a certain category, they can trigger more safety audits. There's also the possibility or the risk of getting a safety rating downgrade if the audit doesn't go the way you expected it to go, or a carrier, not a truck, a carrier being placed out of service, which basically means that that carrier has to halt all operations.
All right, let me put that on a pause. I'd like to give a shout out, a voice shout out to Joe Mama, better known as John P. What's going on, John, man? What is going on with you, man? Yeah, John, you know. We got John in the house, or Joe. John or Joe? Joe or John? Yeah, welcome. Yeah. So Joe says, I was in the tractor, right, till 9 p.m. when the rain started. I've been going full beer. Okay. What's that? Full bore for a while. Okay. Full bore for a while. I mean, for a full bore, yeah, for a while. Huh. Full bone. No, bore. Boy, I gotta get my eyes checked, man. I see the R in there now. Don't tease me. But you know what I'm saying? So is that supposed to be bear? Full bore, yeah. Is that supposed to, what is that supposed to be, Joe? It's not looking right to me phonetically, you know. But yeah, but other than that, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, so we've been talking about this thing here, about the executive order, you know, so that's being enforced and things like that. I had a great time yesterday. I haven't did a live in about 2 months, You know, I've been busy though, John. I've been out there doing a lot of other things out here, man. But yeah, maybe Sherry is lurking in the background. She reached out to me yesterday, you know. Yep, Sherry reached out though. I haven't talked to Sherry in a long time. Yeah, Omega was on here yesterday. He's been on a couple of times. Yeah, Omega is doing good. Yeah, Omega is doing great and things like that. So those are you and a few others I've seen, you know. Joe says I probably covered close to 10,000 acres ejecting. Oh yeah. Yeah. Manure. Okay, manure, man, injected manure. Oh man, I try to classy up that word. Yeah, so you injected manure, and the tillage work for neighbors. Yeah, I know cow shit. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of bull, right? There's a lot of bull going on, though, you know? Yeah, a lot of bull. But yeah, though, Joe, man, that's good. Yeah, that's real great, man. See, I've seen that process, you know. It's a very smelly business. Let me tell you, though, you know, you out there with your waders on, coming down off that tractor, getting way down in the earth and everything, soiling topsoil, soil samples, flying that drone up, doing the all that good stuff, checking the integrity of the soil and everything. You bet you know a whole lot about soil too, Yeah, getting that good black it was an enriched soil, got to be very fertile, that's for sure. You just can't put it on anything, Boy, the way I make it, the way I be describing it, man, it's like people may need a cigarette, Oh man, yeah, topsoil, getting down in there with the gloves on, Yep, tilling the earth. Yeah, yeah, it's all good, man. Nothing wrong with that. A man, out there, Yep. There's something about a man or a woman. Woman too, Sherry. I know she's a farmer too. Yep, she's a farmer too. We can't neglect the women out there that are doing it. Yeah, women are farmers out there too. They love doing it. John says we pump it through a flexible pipe to the tractor. No smell, no mess. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. It's better than human manure, if you know what I mean. You know that smell, that bacteria. I mean that protein. Woo, protein stink. Yeah. So Joe says there was a 3/4 mile pipe I dragged back and forth. Oh yeah, I've seen that work done though, man. It's amazing how you guys prepare and get it ready to start planting or whatever, But you got the big tractor to do all that, spraying down, doing the water and things. Is that some type of chemical in there that you do too? I've seen it passing by farmers, Man, you guys are like out there all day. It's an all day work. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool though, Ain't nothing like a man and his machines, out there. Better than the old way though, where you have to use a mule or a horse or something. You remember, that way, right? I know, right? No chemicals, just poop. That's about the best, Yeah, no chemicals. I like it though too, man. RFK Jr. would be proud of you, Joe. He really would though too, No pesticides, no insecticides, no chemicals and stuff like that, no Roundup and things like that. Well, you ain't got to worry about no Terminator seeds on your property though, man. That's a good thing, Terminator seeds. Oh my gosh. Monsanto. Oh, and Bayer. Oh my gosh. What is the world coming to? Boy, I tell you. But yeah, things are looking good. It's looking up, coming up in America, looking good. Looking good. I like him too. Yeah, I know, right? He's been doing a great job. He really has. You heard that he got rid of all the dyes, man. The most dangerous dyes that have been feeding Americans for years has been banned. There's a ban on these dangerous dyes, especially the red ones. I think it's the yellow ones. You know, all these dangerous dyes have been removed. So they got the right man, though, man. Shoot. RFK Jr. knows a lot about this stuff. I'm a big fan. Though, you know? Yeah, son of RFK Sr. Are you kidding me? Yeah, he's fit as a fiddle. You see how fit he is, you know? For 60 some odd years old, he's fit, you know? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You want a man or a woman that's going to be fit if they're going to be over the health, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got to be fit. And he is fit, man. He's ripped too. It's like, oh my gosh, you know? Yeah. But yeah, we got the right man for the job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Joe, we're looking good. Yeah, ain't too long started, you know. Yeah, Joe says, yep. And a lot more. Go watch the News Nation interview with Chris Cuomo. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to check that out yet. He got shut down by RFK. You know what? Let me take a look at it here. Hold on for a minute. Yeah, Chris Cuomo. Yeah, Cuomo. Let me see here. Let me pull it up here. Mm-hmm. Let me see here. Yeah, you must be talking about this right here. Yeah. And I'm going to pull it up because we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. Why not?
Bobby, it's good to have you.
Good to be with you, Chris.
You know, I haven't even talked to you on TV. I've talked to you off TV, but congratulations. It was an interesting process to watch. Since you've been in, what is the biggest surprise for you so far?
I think the biggest surprise for me was the warm reception that I got from HHS employees. The day that I was inaugurated, I had one of the biggest crowds in the Great Hall, and it was without exception very, very supportive and very warm. I think people at HHS want to do their jobs. They want to make America healthy again, and they feel that they're finally going to be able to do their jobs.
So how do you reconcile their enthusiasm with word of 10,000 cuts?
Well, you know, there's cuts across the federal government, and I think it's hard on everybody. But our agency, which is the biggest agency in government, twice the size of the Pentagon, $1.9 trillion, grew by 38% budget during the Biden administration, 17% in employee increases, and public health went down. By every metric by which you measure public health, it decreased with all the money that was being thrown at it, with all the personnel that were being brought in. This is a sprawling agency, Chris. We have over 100 comms departments. We have 40 procurement departments. We have dozens of IT departments, dozens of HR departments. None of them talk to each other. And what we're trying to do now is to streamline the agency, to eliminate the redundancies, and to focus the mission so that everybody who is at HHS is going to wake up every morning and say, what am I going to do today to make America healthy again? And we're going to make it easier for those. We're not cutting scientists. We're not cutting frontline workers. We're cutting administrators, and we're consolidating the agency to make it more efficient.
So you have to bear the burden of some of the DOGE rhetoric and recoil. So when people hear cuts now, they worry about delivery of services because there's an open question as to whether or not at least Elon Musk cares about any of the people who get served by these agencies. So when it comes to your agency, Bobby, which, as you said, is a sprawling one, how do you give confidence to all of the individuals and parents and families that need the services that you provide, and they hear they're going to be cuts?
We're not going to cut services. We're not going to cut Medicaid. We're not going to cut Medicare. We're going to continue. We're going to provide services, but more efficiently. We have, thanks to Elon, and by the way, what Elon did with our agency is going to help our agency. So I'm very grateful to him he came in for the first time with a real org chart for the agency. The agency org chart when I arrived was incomprehensible. There was no chain of command. There were people operating in all these different silos and fiefdoms, and they were so territorial and so self-serving that they were selling patient information to each other. So I tried to get the CMS patient information, which belongs to the American people and belongs to HHS. And the sub-agencies said we have to buy it from them. And it doesn't make any sense. There are sub-agencies that refuse to give us patient data. This is depersonalized data. Mm-hmm. And we need to make America healthy again. What Elon is doing is he's using AI to improve health, to improve efficiency, to improve delivery. And he had a bunch of geniuses come over to the department, create an org chart that worked, and consolidate. We have many divisions that are doing the exact same thing. We need to consolidate them and give them a sense of mission, to invite them to participate in making our country healthier again. And I think that's why we're getting, a very, very strong, enthusiastic reaction from people within the agency. And of course, it's hard to lose workers. We're going from 82,000 workers to 62,000. That's tough on everybody. But I think in the long run, we're going to have much greater morale in a demoralized agency.
Look, I just think it makes it easier for people to swallow when they see that the administration is going after the deepest pocket, which is the DOD. And until that happens, I think that there's going to be some skepticism. But I hear your argument, and I put it to the audience. Let me ask you, are you going to make any investments in long COVID and vaccine injuries in terms of coming up with treatments and data to help clinicians, help their patients?
Yeah, that's going to be one of our priority focuses.
Yeah, it's very
We already
interesting,
have
man.
a division at NIH that is devoted to studying long COVID and to figuring out cures and to study, and we're incorporating an agency within CDC that is going to specialize in vaccine injuries. So those are things that are priorities for me, and also Lyme disease.
Let's put that on pause for one moment. So yeah, Joe, you already know that that RFK Jr. have already finding a correlation between you already know autism and vaccines, vaccinations. So yeah, because I remember coming up, man, and we never seen anything like autism. That came much later. So he has a lot of information in regards to it, though, and I'm good. It's great that he's been appointed to be able to carry out this mission, though. So he's been fighting a good fight when it comes down to the health. I couldn't ask for a better person other than RFK Jr. Let's go ahead and play this back again.
Priorities for the American people. More and more people are suffering from these injuries, and we are committed to having gold standard science to make sure that we can figure out what the treatments are and that we can deliver the best treatments possible to the American people.
Bobby, I left this for last because I care about it least.
Bobby.
But you have nothing to do with the signal situation, but I want your observation as a student of the game for as many years as you are. What is your read on the dynamic that is going on between the Trump administration and everybody else when it comes to handling this situation? What do you see in this?
Chris, that's not really part of my portfolio, and I am narrowly focused, not on politics, but on making my agency serve the American people and making America healthy again. We've launched Operation Stork Speed to improve our capacity to have good, nutritious baby formula for the American public that doesn't have heavy metals or other poisons in it. We've met with the major food processors and told them we want chemical dyes out of all of our foods, that we want to reduce the sugar. We are reforming the SNAP program so that we're not poisoning kids. 10% of SNAP is now spent on soda drinks, which are giving diabetes to children, which 38% of American teens are now pre-diabetic or diabetic. When I was a kid, it was 0.
You're right about that,
38%
Joe.
of our team, 50% of
and
our
I know
adults.
he will.
We're spending more
end
on
up, taking
diabetes
care of
now
that, the
than we're
Roundup
spending on the military
out of our
budget.
foods.
It's going to sink our country,
Roundup,
and we are
ladies and
starting
gentlemen,
kids
the
addicted
chemical fertilizer
to these
supposed to
sugar
kill
drinks
weed.
when
Not a
they're very
fertilizer,
young
it's
in
supposed to be a
poor
weed killer
communities.
that
We're
was
getting
created
rid of
by
that.
Monsanto
So,
originally.
we're reforming every
So,
part of the agency to make
this
sure
is
that our
what's
food supply is good
killing
and
a
that
lot
we
of
have the
people because they put
healthiest
that in
kids
the
in the
food.
world, which we had when I was a
that's
kid.
in the foods. A
If
lot
you
of
deal
other
with the
things in the
ingredients, if you
food,
deal with
know.
the plastic that we're all putting in our bodies 100 different ways,
Plastic.
I think that in and of itself would be a good legacy. So I am going to give you a pass, Bobby, on that naked dodge of my question, because one, you don't have anything to do with the signal situation, and two, I like what you pivoted to. So I'm giving you the pass. Secretary Kennedy, thank you for coming on to make the case.
I appreciate it, Chris.
Should have never asked him that
Thank you.
question
All right,
in
I'll
the
see you
first
again.
place. It
Good
has
luck,
nothing
Bobby,
to do
doing
with
the work for the
politics
people.
in regards
4
to
minutes.
this. It do it don't, because this is something very, very important when it comes down to people and their health. You know what I'm saying? Talking about giving them a pass. Let me stop this here. Oh no, we can't do the View. Oh no, we can't do the View.
Stop using chat.
Let me go ahead and stop that there. No, we're not doing no View. No View here. No. Joe says everyone needs to leave a comment at his office about it. Yeah, I know, right? I'm gonna have to do the same thing and stuff, because the Roundup, ladies and gentlemen, as Joe mentioned, they're using this Roundup weed killer and they're putting it in our foods. We already have dangerous plastics that are being in our food as well, and even in the drinking water. You know what I'm saying? I can't name some of these drinking waters per se, but they are in the drinking waters, and things like that. So there's some popular drinking water, that got plastics in them. Yeah. Joe says, oh, Common, Tony, we gotta be fair, right? Oh, Common, we gotta be fair, right? Okay, everybody needs to leave it on. Okay, right. Oh, Common, yeah, Tony, we gotta be fair. Okay, I'm open to being fair in things, regards to what, what I'm saying, what's at stake. Yeah, because frankly, we already know what's been they've been running amok. Let's watch The View. The View. Man, I can't take it though, Joe. It's got to the point I can't deal with. I don't know which is worse, Poopy Gold Turd or Joyless Bayhard. I don't know, Blowhard. I mean, yeah, Joyless Blowhard or Poopy Gold Turd. I don't know which one is the worst, man. They're on this equal. Those are the two I just cannot stand. And Ana Navarro, I can't take her either. She's supposed to be a conservative. And she don't sound conservative though. She at all to me. Yep. Cuban descent. Wasn't her? Don't she have a relative that was in politics? What's his name? Navarro something. He was over in Florida. I think he was the governor around a while back. There was a famous group called Two Live Crew. They put a lot of sanctions on those guys back in the days. I remember growing up in the 90s. Hey, Joe, you remember the Two Live Crew with Luther Campbell and the rest of the group? You remember those dudes? They got into a lot of controversy back in the days, saying all kind of stuff that yep. I believe a relative of hers was the governor at the time of Florida, if I'm correct. Yep. I can't think of his first name right now, but I think you know who I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nope. Never heard of them. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's all good. Mm-hmm. It's all good. The Two Live Crew. No, we're not gonna bring that up. No. Mm-hmm. Nope. Yeah, but yeah, I'm glad I watched that though. That was pretty good. Yeah, so the dyes and things, RFK Jr. about those dyes and things, So yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me see here. Remove or put actually banned the dyes. Yeah, those dyes got banned. Here it is right here.
Thank you, Governor Morrissey. Thank you, Speaker
This is
Schultz.
Joe's boy, ladies and
Thank you to
gentlemen.
Dr. Mark
He's my boy,
Hyman,
too.
who's been my friend and partner on these issues for over 20 years. Thanks, Vonnie Harry, who's been an extraordinary leader. And then Marty McCary, I'm so grateful that you agreed to join the administration. And Jay Bhattacharya, will you guys come up here and stand behind me? We have an amazing team at HHS. When my uncle was president in the 1960s, we had the healthiest people in the world. And one of the basic assumptions of our country was that because we were robust people, because we were vigorous, because we were tough, we had what my uncle called this beef jerky toughness that was responsible for our country being the land of the brave and the home of the free, the greatest industrial power in the world, the wealthiest country. We owned half the wealth on earth when my uncle was president, and part of that was because of the vigor of our society. And that's one of the reasons he started the Presidential Council on Physical Fitness, because he saw that he felt that Americans were getting soft and it was going to steal from us and erode all of our leadership, our moral authority, and our values, and our role as an exemplary nation. And since his death, we've had this extraordinary chronic disease epidemic. When my uncle was president, 3% of American kids had chronic disease. Today, it's around 60%. And these are a broad category. The ones that Marty mentioned, like ADHD, the neurological disorders, ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay, tics, Tourette syndrome, narcolepsy, ASD, and autism.
Wow.
All of these are injuries that I never heard of when I was a kid. They were not part of
You
the
hear that, Joe?
nomenclature. They weren't part of the dialogue. There was zero spent in this country treating chronic disease when my uncle was president. Today, it's about $1.8 trillion annually. It's bankrupting our nation. 74% of American kids cannot qualify for military service. How are we going to maintain our global leadership with such a sick population? We have all these autoimmune diseases, these exotic diseases. And again, I never heard of juvenile diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Crohn's disease, and 100 others that were just unknown when I was a kid. I never knew anybody with a peanut allergy. I never knew anybody with a food allergy.
He's right, though.
Why
He is absolutely right.
Kids have allergies?
RFK Jr. is right.
I never knew of anybody who
Joe
had
says, my
eczema.
neighbor, 10 years
I knew
old
of a
daughter,
very small
just
number
had
of
heart
children with
surgery.
asthma,
What
but that has exploded as well today. And our fertility is dropping dramatically. Teenagers in this country today have the same testosterone levels as 68-year-old men.
Heart
surgery? Our girls are reaching puberty 6 years early, from 10 to 14 years old. And this is existential for our country. And
10
we
years
have
old
to
with a heart
address it.
surgery?
And
Oh,
one
man,
of
I'm
the
sorry to hear that, though,
probably,
Joe.
you know what
Wow.
when I met with, and I want to
Thank you,
commend
Dr. Fauci. Yeah, thank you,
food
Dr.
companies
Fauci.
for working with
if
us
I, you know,
to
if I
achieve
wasn't on
this
YouTube,
agreement or this
you know,
settlement.
I don't think I can repeat.
And when I went
Hold
in
on
a
for
few
minute.
months
I
or
don't
about a
wanna be
month ago,
disrespectful to RFK Jr. Hold on for a minute. I'll just say this. I got to use the words of the Grinch because that's about, I can get away with repeating that and things, you know what I'm saying? Because I got some things, man, that I wanted to say, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Oh, man. Yeah, this is crazy, you know? Yeah, this is crazy, man. Oh, man. I'm gonna have to go ahead and do it. You're a mean one, Mr. Fauci. You really are a heel. You are cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Fauci. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. Dun, 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 dun. That's about the best that I can do because of YouTube and the censorship and stuff, and I can't. I'm refrain from cussing and stuff like that. But that's about the best that I can do. and things for Dr. Fauci. There's much worse, but I'm just saying, you're a vile one. Mr. Fauci or Dr. Fauci, you have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Dr. Fauci. Given a choice between two of you, I'll take the seaside or seasick crocodile. Dun, 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 dun. Man, trust me, it would be a much worse, but I got to keep it somewhat PG,
To meet with a few food companies, I was talking with my staff about these petroleum-based dyes, and I said, if they want to add petroleum, if they want to eat petroleum, they ought to add it themselves at home. But they shouldn't be feeding it to the rest of us. And
go ahead and get him, RFK Jr. Get
him without our knowledge or consent. And unfortunately, we're going to get rid of the dyes, and one by one, we're going to get rid of every ingredient and additive in food that we can legally address.
Yes.
One of the problems is that the industry, which all of these industries cast a dark shadow historically over this agency. And there's so many conflicts that we are now systematically eliminating. That has allowed them to suppress the science. There's shockingly few studies, even on food dyes, and on all these other ingredients as well. And Jay Bhattacharya, who is here and who is running the director of NIH, is now narrowly targeting these kind of food additives for scientific study, so that one by one we can start eliminating them.
Oh yeah, I want to read what you said. I'm gonna put it on pause, ladies and gentlemen. Joe says nobody realized he's unalived thousands of AIDS patients with the AZT treatment. Yeah, because the AZT treatment was a farce anyway, though. Look at all those people. I remember it, though. I was around when that was around, too. Yeah, I remember that. The AZT. Yep. You're 100% right. He unalived thousands. If not, you look at this. There's a lot of people right now who would have been alive today, boy, I tell you.
But they can. Where we can't, there's things that we'll never be able to eliminate, like sugar. And sugar is poison. And Americans need to know that. It is poisoning us. It's giving us a diabetes crisis. When I was a kid, I always say this.
Rheumatoid arthritis.
A typical pediatrician would see one case of diabetes in his lifetime. Today, it's 1 out of every 3 kids who walks through his office door. In our most recent study from NIH, 38% of American teens, half our adult population. This is existential. We are spending as much on mitochondrial disorders like diabetes as we spend on our military budget. We can't continue to exist like this. And the problem is industry is making money on keeping us sick. As Jay pointed out, ADHD is associated with all these behavioral disorders. But those disorders are treated not by changing our diet, but providing medications to treat our kids. And they get medicated, and that's the only solution. And, I would point out that there is part of the etiology of these diseases is a kind of media malpractice. Mass psychosis that has our media not talking about this. And one of the possible reasons for that is the amount of money that's coming from the pharmaceutical companies into our media and from these food companies for the advertising.
He's absolutely right, bro. You gotta give him some back on that.
The advertising has at least plays a factor for that revenue, that extraordinary revenue stream, in disabling their capacity or their inclination for skepticism and for critical thinking. So Americans don't know what they're eating, and they don't know the implications of those things. And for those products, Mark Hyman says in his book, The 10-day sugar detox diet, which I'll give a plug to, is a very good book. He talks about how dangerous sugar is and how it's as addictive as crack. And our children are addicted to it from when they're little kids. Our agency recommends, I think, a huge amount of sugar for kids from when they're born. And it's hurting them, and it's addicting them, and it's changing their taste buds so that they crave it.
Junk
and
food.
It's disabling our population. So for those ingredients that we can't ban legally, we're going to start informing Americans about what they're eating. And we're going to try to work with Congress and the White House, make sure that.
Yeah, I just want to pause that for a minute. Hey, Joe, it's really sad that he can't ban the sugar because the sugar lobbyists, as you know, is strong, man. They are as big as Big Pharma, man. So it's not going anywhere. But as he mentioned, as RFK Jr. mentioned, though, they could put like warning labels and stuff regards to the sugar. I don't know if that would, because it's so addictive, you know. We all love our sugar, right? I mean, and it's not even sugar, because they have bought the right to use sugar and they mask it, as you know, with a lot of alternative sweeteners and stuff, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of this dangerous stuff, you know, sucralose and all this other stuff. I remember when we were growing up and they started putting the NutraSweet into a lot of the food. So you had the white processed sugar that's bleached, make it pretty white, and they pretty much process it the same way like they do cocaine, I do believe. So yeah, it's very, very, very addictive. Who doesn't like processed white sugar? They put it in everything. Put it in the pizza, like the pizza sauce and the bread. A lot of bread has sugar in it, you know, especially with the cheap bread. Sugar. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Have you had your sugar? Check your sugar. Sugar. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing about that, man. Let me go ahead and play RFK Jr. again, you know?
We have adequate labeling so mothers who go into the grocery stores know what is good for their children and what is not. I want to say one other thing about the moms. When I went and spoke for the first time, and I met with the heads of all the food industry companies, one of the things that they said to us is that the worst thing for us is if we have a patchwork of legislation in all these different states, because then we're not capable of marketing nationally distributed products, because we're going to have different regulations in every state. And they didn't want that. And that's one of the reasons they came to the table with us. I want to thank Speaker Schultz. I want to thank Governor Morrissey. And I visited many other governors in Virginia and West Virginia, in Arizona and Utah and other states that are banned, that are having these local bans.
Let me go ahead and read what he said here. Yeah, so reading what Joe says, I didn't consume any of it. I used brown sugar sparingly and molasses, honey, and maple syrup. Yeah, if you do those sparingly, yeah, exactly. I got cane sugar at home that I use, especially in my oatmeal, you know, but I don't consume it every day though, you know. But if I must have sugar, yeah, the other ones you can't go wrong with a little honey or maple syrup, 100% maple syrup and things though, you know. So yeah, some of these things have to be done sparingly, you know. But I heard with brown sugar, don't they take molasses and pour it and dump it on white sugar, if I'm correct, and they make brown sugar? At least that's what I was told, because it kind of makes sense. But I use cane sugar though myself. Yeah, cane sugar. We'll go ahead and play him again. All right.
Those bans have given us leverage to make demands in the food company. And the only reason that those states have banned these products is because of these ladies and millions of more across the country, the warrior moms who have powered the MAHA movement. And I just want to urge all of you, It's not the time to stop. It's the time to redouble your efforts because we have them on the run now. And we are going to win this battle. And 4 years from now, we're going to have most of these products off the market, or you will know about them when you go in the grocery store. So I want to thank you.
Sorry about that. Yeah, you know what? I had to pause that for a little bit. But Joe, you know what's going to be the biggest hurdle is in the low income, in the low income community, especially with Black and brown. That's going to be the biggest hurdle right there. Some poor whites as well. It's going to be the biggest hurdle is dealing with, because it's knowledge, it's education, right? Education allow you to be able to know what the foods and what they possibly can do. But when they're talking about, well, I can only afford what I can afford with when it comes down to the bottom line, the average person will go into the store and they'll avoid the green vegetable aisles, which is on the outside, and all the junk is in the middle of the supermarkets. Anybody that know that every unhealthy thing, besides, and even with some of the bottled water, everything inside of a supermarket that's in the middle aisle is all junk and garbage. It really is when it comes down to the food, the so-called processed food. You got your Juicy Juice, your Capri Suns, and I grew up drinking that, you know what I'm saying? Tang, right? And Kool-Aid, man, grew up drinking Kool-Aid, man, with that white sugar. Kool-Aid, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, but all the healthy stuff is on the outside of the supermarket. But, and that's the thing though, the education is going to have to come from these mothers and things. So therefore they can learn how to buy healthy foods and how to cook them and things. Let me see here. Joe Mama says, cane sugar. No, when we read up above that. Yep. But molasses actually has minerals. Yeah, they do. Your body needs. Yep, it sure does. Cane sugar comes from molasses. Cool. Doesn't spike your blood sugar as much as white processed sugar does. Mothers need to learn how to cook again. Joe Mama says there are just as many white women on EBT. The junk food should not be eligible. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of white women that are on EBT as well. But whether if you're white, Black, or other, the education has to start hitting home, because the mothers, the warrior moms, you have to be more informed. This ain't a dig towards the women, towards the warrior moms. I get it. You got children, you got to put food on the table, and some of you are taking care of a child that's a single mom, which is one of the hardest things out there to do, is be a single mom. You know what I'm saying? So my hat goes off to all the warrior moms as well as the the single moms that's out there raising children. So if you're a mom and you're out here raising your children, about your business and stuff, shouts out to you. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you. Yeah. So other than that, though, yeah, we are going in the right direction now. I'm glad that Joe pointed that part of it out. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. So yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Let me go ahead and play some more of it. There you go. Yeah. RK Jr. is on it.
And finally, and most importantly, I want to thank President Trump. President Trump often, says that he's going to make America great again. But he knows that he cannot make our country great again if our country is weak, if we're not healthy, if we don't have vigor, if we're not a robust people. He says that he's going to restore the American dream. And a healthy person has 1,000 dreams. The sick person only has one. And right now, there's 60% of the people in this country who have only one dream. If they can make it through a day without pain, with energy, without having to take medications. And we are going to change that for our country. And I want to thank the moms and thank President Trump for his confidence in my leadership and for allowing me to surround myself with such an extraordinary team of scientists who are going to restore transparency to this agency. We're going to do replicated science. We're going to restore gold standard science so we know what's in our food and we can eliminate it. Thank you all very much.
All right. So, all right.
Thank you, Secretary Kennedy. Thank you to everyone for being here, and thank you to the press for attending today. We're going to take some questions from the press. If you can please say your first, last name, and outlet when I call on you, that would be great. Sarah, CNN.
All right. Let me just do this here for one moment.
Imagine making $453,000 in a single month as an affiliate marketer.
Get out here and make that money, though. We're going to play this last one.
652. So the FDA is now moving to phase out artificial food dyes that are in, particularly candies, anything that's really super unnaturally looking, bright colors.
Yeah, Dr. Mike, thanks for coming back in. I don't know. Maybe we should have done this a long time ago. What say you?
Well, everything is based on science. I have this phrase, in God.
All right, let me read what you have here to say. Joe says, Joe Mama says, my mother takes so many prescription drugs, she's getting dementia. I'm sorry to hear that, though, Joe, man. Oh, my gosh, man. I really am, man. And you can't tell her a thing, right? Because the doctor wouldn't do that. He knows what he's doing. Hey, Joe, I was going to tell you this, man. I had an aunt that passed away, my mother's oldest sister, and her youngest sister. My mother was trying to tell my youngest and her oldest sister, hey, you don't need to be out here taking these drugs because this is that and that is this. This is what's going on with the side effects, and things. But they believe in the medical model, though. And unfortunately, neither of them made it, though. My mother is the only survivor out of her family, a total of 6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls. And we know with the medication, which in my opinion should be used in emergency situations, but not long-term, not to be taken, because we know there's a lot of things when it comes down to organs, vital organs that can shut down over time, even from a simple aspirin. But I'm glad that there's a lot of awareness that's being spread on this type of stuff, well, because we know that the medication is we don't want the medication to go away, but if we're going to use it, and I'm glad that RFK is doing something with that as well, where a lot of the big pharma companies are moving out of China back into the United States, which is a good thing. So with that to be said, because in China, we don't know what we're getting. All these fillers, they don't have any type of safety laws, no OSHA laws. Everything is all good in China, everything. So, yeah, so you have to be careful where the medication comes from and things. But since we have a higher safety standards here in America, and it used to be manufactured here, and I like to see a lot of pharmaceutical medication brought back into the United States, and I believe it's going to happen. But yeah, though, Joe, man, I'm sorry to hear that about your mom, man. I really am. I really am, man. Damn.
We trust, and everyone else show me the data. And I think this is a very important step. Now, let's talk about that. There are 8 of these that are petroleum-based synthetic dyes. As Karen, you mentioned, they add color. They don't add any nutritional value, and they just
red dye number 40,
people to eat it.
Blue
so
dye
this
number
is the list.
1,
Red number
blue
40,
dye
blue
number 2,
1, blue number 2,
citrus red
number 2. Green number 3, orange B, yellow number 5, and yellow number 6. These are all on the list. Now, where do you find them? Usually in ultra-processed foods, like kids' candy, some beverages, baking decorations, ice cream, certain baby foods.
And particularly for baby foods, because they're so small that this can have like great, we're worried about the smaller the human when you have substances that are, there's no reason to have them there. You can use
It's a damn
watermelon
shame,
or
Joe
something
Mama.
natural
It's
things.
a damn
Well,
shame,
in
man.
Europe, by the way, they
It's a
use
shame.
plant-based dyes. My son went to Europe last summer, and when you look at the back of their stuff, it's not like you need a chemistry degree. There's very little in the way of artificial stuff in their food. So I welcome this.
I think Canada does the same thing.
Look, and it's all here. It's all on the sides. And I want to shout out my nutritionist, Kim, because she is phenomenal. And she went through all of this, helped me out. One thing, that orange bee stuff, where do you find that? Hot dogs on the casings and sausage to give it that look.
But anything like the Cheetos, any of those carbs, and the reason why these big companies do it is because it's cheaper. The chemicals are cheaper than having the real stuff that actually comes from watermelon or strawberries or, bright colors.
Right, and beets. Right, and they have a lot of antioxidants and things, just very quickly. So why are we concerned about this? Well, there is data that it can exacerbate, make worse kids with ADHD. It's in the literature. Now, as far as the cancerous and stuff like that, it's all animal studies. So I'm not going to take your kids and say, Karen, okay, you're going to do your kids and get all this stuff. My kids are going to be in the other side, and we're not going to do it and see what happens. So it's tough to stop.
Yeah, like the cereal companies are going, no, we're going to have to raise the price of your cereals and stuff. We'll see if that
What is the value of one life?
I know.
Excuse
I know.
me. All right.
You mentioned this the other day. What? There is a blood test to predict postpartum depression.
Well, they're working on it. And it has to do with the hormone progesterone and how it is metabolized. And the reason this is so important is that postpartum depression affects significant numbers of people. And it can lead to suicide, death by suicide. So wouldn't it be great? And many of them, only 1 to 3% are diagnosed. Now, this blood test that's not out yet, they're looking at it, they're working on it, would be done in the third trimester. So even before any symptoms occur. And if it turns out positive, you would initiate treatment quickly.
So if you have low levels of progesterone, would you then supplement it? Was it low or high? What would be the issue?
Well, basically what they found was that if you have progesterone affecting GABA receptors, and the GABA receptors are found to be responsible for neurotransmitter functions in the brain, that's the problem. So the progesterone, if it's high, it can actually cause more risk of postpartum depression.
How soon could we have this?
Well, they're working on it.
A few years.
Yeah. So it's a metabolite of progesterone, and that is thought to affect brain biochemistry. That's how it works.
Fascinating. Thank you.
Blood test in the third trimester.
Yeah, coming to a town near you.
Have a great weekend, Dr. Ryan.
I love you, and I love you.
Right back at you, Slick.
Phenomenal.
All right. So that's basically it there, though. Yeah, I'm glad to come in and cover a little bit of this as well. I wanted to do this, but I know it wasn't a full segment about it, but yeah, it's pretty good. Sounds like voodoo to me. Yeah, I know, right? What he was saying. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, but so Joe, the audio sounds real good now with the video and everything. Everything sounds real good. Yeah, because I found the error of my ways. But it looks good. The picture looks really, really good and things. So yeah, I've been working behind the scenes on the technical side, getting this stuff set up right, But now that I have gotten it together, yeah, it looks really, really good now, Yeah, it was a lot of people in yesterday though, Joe. I had over 2,000 people that showed up, man, in regards to you got it dialed in. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Joe, I was talking about Shri. Vote for Shri. It's free. Shri Tandadar, Yeah, so unfortunately, he's a congressman of Michigan. And like I said, I just shake my head every time they allow that guy to be the congressman to vote it in. I believe he's gonna be a one term. They're gonna get him out of there though, man. Yeah. When I first saw that guy Shri, like I said yesterday, I thought it was a bad SNL skit, man. I really did, man. I couldn't believe I said this guy, yeah. Yeah, yeah. You said what Joe said. I saw that. You did good. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. It was just so funny, man. I got, there was a few trolls in there, but it was all good. Dwight showed up, so yeah, so it was all good, man. I just went on and did my thing. But yeah, that was really funny. I was on the roll yesterday, man. I was on the roll, man. I sure was, man. No script. I never heard of him till this. Yeah, man. He made national news like 4 days ago, talking about he was going to impeach Trump. And as I mentioned yesterday, he raised like $800,000. And then he has allegedly some sketchy in his with the animals. I think it was some beagle dogs. And these dogs end up dying. End up being unlived or whatever, because with the dogs and everything. So yeah, man, it was a bunch of beagles, and he slithered his way and lied about that, but it was on his watch, man. So, and then he was going to take some of that money that he raised to pay off some personal debt. So he's actually being surveillance right now, and we can probably see some charges in the future, though. But this whole impeachment thing, because even with some of his Democrat mates, though, they've been pulled back off of it, man. They don't want to have anything to do with that impeachment. Just like if Werewolf Green, he couldn't do anything about it. So yeah, so that's the thing about it. Even though Al Green is one of the few that still support him on that, so it's a losing thing. It's just a money grab. That's all it is, just a money grab. Joe says all these nobodies crawling out from underneath the rocks, making trouble. Yeah, this is a way for Shri to come out. He comes out of the snake hole, slithering out with a bad toupee hair job. That's terrible. Probably glued on his head, but he comes out of there slithering out. Oh, I found another thing. Oh, impeachment. Maybe I can impeach and come up with a resolution on how we can impeach Donald Trump for crimes against threat to democracy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is terrible, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we don't have anything coming, that POS John Bolton is running his Banzo again. Oh yeah, Bonzo again. I know, right? John Bolton, yeah. Yeah, these guys are just slithering out of the woodwork. But it doesn't matter. Like roaches, you already know what happened with roaches, though. We just got a big old can of Raid. They'll be on their backside, can't cause no more trouble. You know what I'm saying? Just like Al Werewolf Green, That's a fitting name for him, man. The werewolf, because he looks just like a werewolf, man. I was just cracking up there, sometimes I listen to Chicks on the Right and Mott and Daisy, and they're the ones that pointed it out, though. Shout out to Mott and Daisy, by the way. Shouts out to Mott and Daisy. Yeah, when they first said that he looked like a werewolf, I was cracking up. I was in the car driving, man. I know my passengers wondering. I had to tell them, man, it was just something that was said that was so funny. But yeah, had me cracking up. Cracking up, man. Oh yeah, man. So yeah, that's funny, man. Oh gosh. Funny. Yeah, but other than that, though, man, yeah, we covered it. Yeah, we covered it, though, today. Talked about the trucker thing for those that are coming in right now. Already covered that. You guys can always go back on the video and catch the early show on that. Yeah, so that is going down. And then we talked about RFK Jr. and the dangerous dyes. I think there's 7 to 8 of them that's being banned and things like that. So that should cut down on a lot of these type of sickness that's making the kids sick and stuff like that. I can't bring it up because they'll cite me. You know how that go. Big Pharma, they're always watching, always looking, always watching. Watching you, watching you, watching you. Private eyes are watching. Oh, I should say Big Pharma. You know, yeah, that's what they're doing. They see your every move, baby. Well, who don't like Hall and Oates, man? I can't play it. I would love to play Hall and Oates, but you already know. Copyright strike. Joe Mama says Trump's done pretty what's that? Pretty darn good. Okay, I'm assuming darn good for the first 100 days. Yeah, Trump has, man. I'll say done me pretty darn good. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Me too. Even my personal dividends and everything have gone up, man. I can't complain. Can't complain at all, man. You know, but I was never worried about it because, like he even said, there may be a dip in the market, but surely going to go back up. I had a debate with a friend of mine from China yesterday, and he still thinks that even though you already heard that China bent the knee, he don't believe it. He don't think that China bent the knee. I kept trying to tell him that China don't have the leverage like he thinks they do, right? They already done bent the knee and made a deal already. They done bent the knee. They just maybe not saying it publicly. You know, I tried to explain it to him. He tried to say that prices were going up. I said, no. You look at energy, you look at gas and oil, eggs, right? We're talking about mortgage rates and everything. Stuff is starting to go, it's been going down, you know what I'm saying? So with all that to be said right there, you know, it's like, oh yeah, the shelves are going to be bare. No, the shelves ain't going to be all bare, you know. It may be certain things that's going to be bare. I believe that the last shipment from China is supposed to be coming in over here if they ain't docked on the ports by now. But we're going to be fine because, like I told him, Trump have already made deals with other Asian and other countries, and even the EU. He don't believe that the EU bent the knee. Yep. Joe says my goals, okay, gone nuts. China has dropped 25% of their tariffs behind the scene. Yeah, I heard that too. He don't believe it, but they did. They did. You know, we were going to win this tariff war. They don't want the truth to be known about that. I've been watching this thing on China. China is majorly hit over there, and rightfully so, because what is it? 40. They rely on American market. What, like 40% of their consumers come out of America? You know, it could be higher, but I think it's somewhere around 40%. That's a big hit. It may be even higher though. It may be even higher, you know what I'm saying? Because we already know with the consumer base, we got a large consumer base here in America. Every nation know it. If America feeds everybody, and if America cuts you off, you are in bad doo-doo, you know, bad doo-doo, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's just one of those things though. Bad, you know? But yeah, man, I heard that, man. Dropped by 25%. You know, we're gonna get them, we're gonna get China in line, just like all with the UN. With the EU, we're gonna get them in line. They already caved. So Joe says it's already over. China has been in a depression, yeah, for 2 years since COVID ended. Yeah, they really have. Yeah, I mean, because my friend is from China. He's from the north part of China. Yeah, and then Trump signed that executive order on all foreign nationalists that they have to register when they're into the country. So, and then I know Trump has also canceled a lot of the student visas as well too, especially from China, because if Xi Jinping has been, and I said this though, Joe, this ain't something that Xi Jinping have done recently with the Chinese nationalist students. They've been spying on America. They busted some kids over here at U of M about a month or so ago, about 8 of them, right? Taking pictures of the military bases and all the rest of the stuff, sending it back to China. So they've been apprehended. And I always said that a lot of these students will make a perfect espionage spy when you think about it. And their cover is a student. And they were right out of here about U of M. Yeah. Joe says their people are getting ready to revolt if things aren't done. Yeah, I saw that too, though, Joe. I saw that. There's what is it? Encoded China. Yeah, I was watching that and watching some other channels. In fact, I can put it up right now. Encoded China. Yeah, they're about ready to invoke. He tried to say that he didn't believe it. Encoded. Okay, got that. That's not right. Encoding China. This is it right here. So, you know what I'm saying? So one of the ones I watch,
You think you're fast, but you're really slow as a snail on vacation. Turn your ideas into food.
Fierce competition. People are being turned into slaves, and the economic structure is collapsing. Since early April, as the Chinese Communist Party has attempted to counter U.S. tariff hikes, export industries along China's coast have faced increasing struggles, exacerbating internal competition. The Chinese government is now urging export businesses to enter the domestic market, adding pressure to an already saturated space. A TikTok user criticized this solution, highlighting that China's domestic market is already saturated with intense competition. He questioned how any company could compete with platforms like Pinduoduo, which prioritize rock-bottom prices. Domestic-focused companies have been locked in a price war for years. Another internet user pointed out that many export products, such as surfboards,
yeah, Joe says,
lawnmowers,
sure,
or 100
they
euro
have
cups,
every
do not
country
meet
spies
domestic
on each other.
needs.
Absolutely.
Even if there is some interest,
It's just that they
consumers are
got caught.
unwilling to pay high prices for them. The deeper issue is overcapacity, too many products and not enough buyers. The problem isn't merely a few lost export orders, it's that no one can sell anything. The real issue lies in broken income levels, declining consumer confidence, and the flawed structure of the domestic economy. Without real purchasing power, any shift to domestic sales is doomed. Since 2020, the term involution, describing pointless and excessive competition, has gained widespread use in China. Now, in the fifth year of this trend, compounded by the US-China trade war dragging the economy down, China has entered a deep involution era. As one person online put it, everyone is fighting and exhausting themselves, but no matter how hard they work, the total benefit remains stagnant. The CCP has prioritized politics over economic growth, cracking down on private businesses and foreign investment in the name of security. This has shrunk economic opportunities. Traditional white-collar jobs in real estate, private tutoring, and tech have disappeared, pushing more people, especially the struggling middle class and unemployed college graduates, into blue-collar sectors like ride-hailing, food delivery, and restaurant work, which were once considered fallbacks. By 2023, many local governments reported that the ride-hailing market was becoming saturated. By 2024, competition in ride-hailing intensified further, with around 20 million new drivers, many former middle-class workers, entering the market, according to Fu Peng, chief economist at Northeast Securities. On April 30th, 2025, a female TikTok user explained why earning money as a ride-hailing driver is so difficult. Platforms often assign low-quality orders, such as a 2.8-kilometer ride paying only 6 or 7 yuan, approximately 0.9 USD. If the algorithm detects that a driver relies on the job to survive, it keeps their income low, but stable, turning the platform into a mobile sweatshop where drivers are treated like machines. Another driver in Beijing described the situation as beyond extreme. The food delivery sector is also oversaturated. In 2023, 30% of Meituan delivery workers in Wenzhou were college graduates, turning it into a knowledge-intensive job. Chinese media reports indicate that big internet companies have faced waves of layoffs, pushing many workers into the restaurant business as a last resort. Even barbershops are caught in the price war. A haircut that once cost 21 yuan is now 10 yuan, approximately 1.38 USD at a new shop next door. A TikTok user pointed out that internal competition has become a deadlock since Chinese e-commerce took off. He explained that Chinese businesses cling to a belief in small profits, high sales volume, which sounds logical but doesn't hold up. In contrast, Jewish business culture promotes high profit with low volume, viewing low-margin businesses as a trap that eventually strangles companies as margins shrink and quality declines. China's hyper-competitive environment creates no real societal value. If you sell for 10 yuan, someone else sells for 8, and then someone in Hebei sells for 6. He argued that relying on low prices is an excuse for lacking a unique product. Consumer products should win through quality and customer loyalty, not price wars. A professional in the animal feed industry said the sector has entered a crisis. Companies undercut each other to survive, but this doesn't lead to steady sales or good profits. He predicted that 30% of feed companies may go out of business this year, emphasizing that the core issue isn't tariffs, but a lack of strong products, distribution channels, or brand messaging. Companies haven't figured out how to promote products or services quickly, attract customers efficiently, or cut business costs. Instead, they keep lowering product quality, creating a vicious cycle. A TikTok user provided 3 reasons why every industry now feels exhausting and fiercely competitive. First, from 2010 to 2020, China's real estate sector grew at an unprecedented pace, with cities filled with new skyscrapers. He worked on construction sites, handling water and electrical systems, and saw firsthand how products were rushed. In just 10 years, the industry accomplished what should have taken 30, 40, or even 50 years, disrupting its natural cycle. Now, many construction workers are jobless. Second, parents push their children into tutoring and training classes, but they overlook a harsh reality. The college entrance exam ranks students by score. If everyone scores over 600, then
This is
600
called
isn't enough to secure a university spot.
Encoding China.
This competition
Talking
doesn't
about
benefit society.
what is
It only
going on in
exhausts
China
students.
for real,
Third,
you know.
if one clothing
Stuff
factory
that they
works
won't report
nonstop
on
and
the
produces as
regular
much as
legacy
3 others
news
combined,
media.
it might seem
So that's
successful.
why I'm showing some
However,
of this stuff,
it could
you
drive
know.
the other 2
I've
factories
been
out of
following their
business,
channel for a
leading to
while,
job
though,
losses,
you know,
as overall
to
market
get the
demand
inside scoop.
remains unchanged. This
You know,
dynamic
so
also
yeah,
explains
China
why
already
some
bent the
overseas
knee to
workers
the
resent
tariffs,
Chinese
by the way.
immigrants.
But
In many Western
America, they
countries,
still
people work
drumming it up
5 or 6 hours
because
a
they don't want
day,
to give Trump
take
any
weekends
credit
off, and enjoy life.
in things.
Chinese
Since
workers,
he did
often
a
working over 10
remarkable
hours
job
daily,
for his
including
first
weekends,
100 days in
sparked fears
office,
that
though,
their
you know.
work ethic
So
could disrupt local
Joe
quality
Mama
of life.
says
A TikTok
China's
user
problem,
suggested that Chinese
they
people could learn from
overproduce
foreigners about
iron
protecting
buying
rights and
lithium
enjoying life, as they
iron
too want freedom and leisure, not just endless toil. The
batteries
privileged
for
class
the
is the root
same
cause of
price
involution, worsened by the
as lead
CCP's
acid
authoritarian
batteries. What's up
governance,
with that?
fueling
They
a
used
social
to
volcano.
be like
China is
$1,000 to
increasingly mired in
$1,500
internal competition,
a piece.
and even
Yeah,
authorities
what's up with
acknowledge
that?
the need to address it.
Yeah.
However, some online voices
Joe
argue
Mama
that the real
says
cause
they
is the
are
privileged
selling
class,
solar
which
panels
continues to
delivered
expand
to
and
your
monopolize the
door
best
for less than
resources,
50 cents a
dominating
watt.
every profitable
Right,
industry.
$49
This leaves ordinary
for
people
a
with fewer
100
good job
panel
opportunities.
for
Wu
a 100
Shengji,
watt
a
panel.
consultant from a Taiwanese think tank, wrote that the
Let me see
root of
here.
China's involution problem lies in its political
Cattle Bike
system.
says
He
a
argued that the
crisis
party-state
bigger
structure, particularly
decoding
under Xi
China.
Jinping's leadership, has
The
accelerated
crisis
this
bigger than
trend, setting
decoding
China on a
That's the
path
name of
toward
the channel.
endless internal competition.
Mhm.
Since the mid-1990s, the most lucrative industries, real
That's
estate,
one of the
mining,
person that
finance,
coming over from
telecommunications,
Twitch.
transportation, energy,
Yeah,
and any sector
I get
requiring
people from
government
Twitch every now
licenses
and then.
have been controlled by powerful families tied to the Communist Party. In May 2020, former Premier Li Keqiang admitted that 600 million Chinese earn an average of just 1,000 yuan, approximately 137 USD a month.
Yeah, that's interesting,
Shenzhen
Joe, man.
entrepreneur Wang Yingguo contrasted
But they
this
never
with
been
Western
about
workers
innovation
who
anyway. They
benefit
just
from social
steal
protections
IP,
and work to build
as we
lives,
already know.
marry, and start families in a
They've been
healthy
getting
cycle
away
of
ripping
labor and
America
reward.
off as well
In
as the
China,
world for
under Xi
years.
Jinping, the
No
system resembles
accountability
North
until
Korea's,
now.
treating people like slaves.
Finally,
After
a
the Communist
president
Party
that broke the
monopolizes
great dragon
resources,
of China's
workers
back.
are no
And that's
longer working
President
to live.
Donald J.
They are
Trump,
struggling
ladies
to
and gentlemen.
survive.
In
As the
fact,
Chinese government
you know
pushes
how I
harmful
do.
policies, public frustration is
But to
growing,
give a shout
with
out for
protests becoming more
President Donald
frequent.
J. Trump,
Recently,
the
banners
president that
appeared on a
broke the great
Chengdu
dragon's
overpass
back when
reading,
they said the
"The
great
people don't
Chinese
need a
dragon
party with
couldn't be
unchecked
broken.
power."
Trump broke his back.
Li Hengqing,
He
a
said,
Chinese
"Oh,
economist living in the U.S.,
uncle, I give
noted that
up.
Chinese
I give
society is
up.
in a deeply distorted state,
I give
brewing
up.
a social backlash.
Ooh, I give
The
up."
greater the pressure,
Yeah.
the stronger the backlash
Other
will
than
be.
that, though, yeah,
That
ladies and
pressure
gentlemen. So
is now
yeah, they had
accumulating,
to give
he
up. They
said.
had to throw in
He
the
added
towel.
that in
Because
2024,
like you
the
said, they were
CCP
Xi
established a
Jinping was
social
going to
work
have a problem
department
with some of the people that
specifically
were
to
starting to
neutralize those
revolt.
raising issues.
And coups
Li
were
argued
starting to
that the
come up.
government's approach
Because
is
like you said, this
fundamentally
has been
flawed.
going on since COVID.
Instead of addressing China's core
It's
issues,
been
it
going on.
focuses
So
on
yeah.
ensuring regime stability. The
Yeah,
purpose of a
it's
government
it's
is
a
to
hurting
serve its
thing, you know.
citizens. If a government's purpose
Yeah.
becomes protecting its own interests, it loses its legitimacy and must be overthrown. In today's communist China, it has reached that point. Its overthrow has
Okay,
become
thank
inevitable.
you. I'll
He
keep a
concluded.
closer eye on your channel. I
Yiwu,
appreciate it,
the world's
Cattle Bikes,
supermarket,
man.
is crushed
Yeah,
by
I get a
tariffs.
few people
Its
from
e-commerce
Twitch that come
logistics
on every
industry
now and
is
then, you know.
bleeding out, with
Yeah,
shipment
but yeah, I
volumes
just try
dropping
to
by
talk
70%.
about some
70%.
stuff, try to have some
Yiwu,
type of
Zhejiang,
try to keep
is
somewhat of a
globally
neutral
renowned as a
stance. I
hub for
try
small
to,
commodities,
but
boasting
yeah,
massive export volumes. Since the
Yeah, but
US-China
this is
tariff war began,
it's one of the
Yiwu's
channels that
cross-border
I'm
e-commerce sector
familiar with, that I
has felt like
follow.
the sky is
And
falling.
they
International
all they do
logistics
is just
companies
report
in
the
Yiwu have
insides, and
faced
she does a very
unprecedented
good job
challenges,
translating
with
from
industry insiders
Mandarin
reporting a
Chinese over to
70% drop
English.
in shipment
Because a lot of
volumes.
these other ones
This reflects
you
the
get, which I
confusion,
could read the
anxiety,
captions,
and pain
but
of
she does
Yiwu
a good job
entrepreneurs
though, and
searching for a
she's
way out in a
Chinese
challenging
herself.
environment.
You know what
As
I'm
the
saying?
core
So
global
yeah.
supply base for small commodities,
So yeah,
Yiwu
it's
provides a
pretty
vast
interesting
array
though.
of
You know,
price-competitive
you
goods
get a
for
chance to
Temu,
see the
the overseas
intricacies, the
version
inner
of
workings of
Pinduoduo.
China,
Yiwu
and
merchants
things, and
can
how they've
supply
been
goods
handling
directly or collaborate with service
the
providers,
actual tariff
leveraging Temu's
taxes
traffic and fully managed
and
model
things. So yeah,
to enter overseas
and
markets
look at the
quickly.
warehouse though,
The
man.
U.S. has eliminated duty-free treatment for packages from China valued under $800. Lin, a Yiwu cross-border e-commerce business owner interviewed by the Epoch Times, said, "Many factories in Wenzhou, Yiwu, Foshan, and Fujian have shut down or gone on holiday. Many have cut salaries
Yeah, I
and
talked
laid off
about
workers. These
the
factories
congressman
relied on foreign trade,
yesterday,
especially
cattle
the U.S.
bikes.
market. With tariffs at this level, it
Yeah,
feels like the
yeah,
sky
I
has
talked about
collapsed." Lin expressed
yeah,
regret,
Sri
stating that if he could start over,
Tanadar. You know, a
he would
lot of
not
you
choose
guys, if you're not
cross-border
in Michigan, you
e-commerce.
probably don't know who
There's
he
no
is.
sense of security
But
in
he
this
ended up
industry. Every day is
getting national
exhausting. Our
fame
sales have dropped by
for
50%
trying
to
to impeach
60%.
Trump
I can't
and
sleep at night,
things.
constantly worrying about expenses and
It's
costs.
actually a money
It
grab
feels
he's
like
trying
there's
to do.
no way out, but I have to keep
Yeah,
going.
so he's
It's
not going to be
increasingly
successful in
draining.
that.
My heart is exhausted. He explained that Yiwu's main products, household goods, daily necessities, and accessories,
Yeah, my friend
none
is
of
from
which are
China
high-end,
too, but
are now either
he's a
unsold or
U.S.
being
citizen
returned.
now. He's
He
been a
advised
U.S.
those
citizen
tempted
for
by
quite some
cross-border
time
e-commerce hype to reconsider.
and things.
The
So
failure rate is 99%.
yeah, so that's the thing about it. We
Only
have a
1%
debate
make a
about
name
it,
for
and
themselves. The rest
you
are
were
just
just saying
cannon
how
fodder.
Xi
Yiwu's logistics
Jinping is
industry
going to
is
save face.
collapsing
He's not
under
going
the
to grovel to
U.S.-China
Trump.
tariff war.
I said he don't have
Known for
to.
its
All he's
massive
going to do is
commodity
just send his
exports, Yiwu
advisors
hosts
over to
over
talk.
20,000 freight
Xi
forwarding
Jinping
companies
don't have to
that
do it
provide
personally.
logistics
You know what I'm
services to
saying?
local and regional
Because
exporters,
yeah, he has
often
a certain
specializing in
that save
international
face
shipping.
culture that they
Some
have in
also
China.
offer local warehousing,
And things. My friend
transportation,
does it. He
distribution,
still
and
thinks
logistics
he's in
solutions for
China, so he
cross-border
still does his
e-commerce.
save
The
face
tariff war has disrupted
thing though.
U.S.
So
exports,
they got it
causing
pretty
many
bad
small
over there in
freight
China with
forwarding
that save
companies
face
reliant on
thing.
the U.S. market to
You
face
don't
sharp
call out the
declines,
corruption
leading to
at all in their
closures or
culture, in the
suspensions.
Chinese culture,
Mr.
with the
Wang,
save
the
face
owner of a
thing though.
Yiwu
You
International
save
Logistics
face
Company,
by
told the Epoch
acting like you
Times
don't
that nearly
exist
half of
or
Yiwu's
being a
freight
bigger
forwarding
person
companies
to a
have
point. You
ceased
know what I'm saying?
operations since the tariff war
Joe
began.
says,
Last
did
week,
you
all the
see
small merchants we worked with, who collected and sold goods to us,
Vladimir,
shut down,
finished
he said.
kicking
Many merchants
Ukraine
have
out
stopped
of
shipping
yes
altogether.
last
Wang
week?
noted,
Then
our container loading rate has dropped
Zelensky
significantly
signed the
from a
I
steady
sure
80
did.
containers per
Yeah,
week
I was
to
going to
fewer
talk
than
about
40
that
now.
as well, Joe Mama.
On pricing
Yeah,
strategies, Wang
they
explained that
signed the
raising a
minerals
product's
deal
price
because you
by
know what was
even
going to happen
$1
though, in my
often
opinion,
leads
though,
to a
Joe.
noticeable drop
Let
in
me just
sales.
say it for what it really
Merchants
is,
must
right?
adjust prices
Because
based on market trends
Zelensky
to
didn't
stay
have no
competitive.
he didn't have
Failure
any
to do
leverage
so
anyway
risks
with this whole
competitors raising prices,
thing.
causing
Crimea
low-priced
belongs to
inventory to
Russia
sell out
pretty
quickly,
much, right?
leaving merchants with no
So
stock.
here it
Large
is.
sellers
I
may raise
mean,
prices
Ukraine,
first
right?
and then gradually lower them to
Trump was
maintain
about to
profits
walk
and
away
market
from the
share,
deal, as you
while
already
smaller
know. He was
sellers,
about to say,
slower to
you know what?
react, may
If
see short-term
Zelensky
sales
doesn't want to
surges due to
cooperate,
low
I'll
prices.
just let
Wang also explained that the U.S.
Vladimir Putin.
imposes
I just
high
let him
tariffs
go
on
ahead and
certain goods to
run
protect
willy
domestic
nilly. If the
industries.
laws of the United
For
States ain't
products
gonna
the
jump
U.S.
in,
can produce domestically,
I'll just
punitive tariffs
leave
increase import costs to reduce
Zelensky up to his own
competitiveness.
devices.
For example,
Because he ain't gonna
syringe
be able to
needles
stop
face
the
tariffs
the
as
French
high as
and all the rest of them. They're not gonna be able to
240%.
stop
To
that
cope with high
with
tariffs,
Russia.
such as the
They're not gonna be able to stop them
145%
if
on
they were to
clothing,
go in there. They can go in there
logistics
and take over
companies and
Ukraine, and he
exporters
know it.
mix high
That's
tariff,
why he
low tariff,
that's why he
and duty-free
conceded.
goods
You
in a
know,
single
this is one of
container,
the main reasons why
typically
he started
including
doing
only a small
the mineral
portion.
deal or or whatever because
about
he had no
16
leverage.
cubic meters
What
of
he gonna
clothing.
do?
This
He ain't
mixed
like no
cargo
big nation.
strategy
You know what I'm
lowers the
saying?
average
What,
tariff
Ukraine?
rate
Are you?
and total
Oh
cargo
my
value,
gosh! What?
reducing tariffs owed and
Yeah,
helping
but
businesses survive.
Joe Mama says
However, Wong
cocaine
emphasized the risks. If customs
does
authorities
crazy
detect
things to a
inaccurate
fella,
declarations,
Zelensky. Yeah,
fines can
exactly.
reach
You know he's all
hundreds of
coked up,
thousands of dollars
snored
per
up, coked
container.
up.
Looking
Oh yeah,
ahead,
smoked up.
Wong expressed deep concern for
You know what
Yiwu's
I'm saying?
logistics
What
industry. If
you
the
know what I'm saying? So
US-China
yeah.
tariff war stalemate persists
So
for
that's the
another
thing
3
about
months,
that though,
he
man.
estimates that only about
Let me go ahead and stop
5,000
this
freight
here.
forwarding companies will remain in
Yeah.
Yiwu.
Played more than what I wanted to, but yeah. So yeah, so that's basically what it is, ladies and gentlemen, though. It's no big secret. Yeah, I appreciate people that's finding my channel and stuff like that, man. Like I got a lot more subscribers. I'm almost at 400. I should have been at 5, but I took a 2-month break because I had some other things I had to do in my personal life and things. So yeah, Elon should audit Zelensky or whatever. Yeah, this is the same dude, Zelensky, talking about, oh, the money that Biden gave me was a gift. It was not a loan, you know. Okay, since we can't get the money back, we'll just take it out the minerals. So now we got the, the lithium and all the other minerals over there, that'll work. We will take it, If we can't get the money back, we'll get the minerals out one way or the other, So, and then eventually going to work on getting his ass out of power anyway, because he's nothing more than a puppet of the deep state, and everybody knows it. You know what I'm saying? Zelensky holds no type of power whatsoever. If it wasn't for the protection of the deep state, he would have been gone a long time ago. Now that he had to give up those mineral resources, I don't think they need him anymore. You know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, I mean, what else do the deep state need from him? That was the last leveraging. Trump was about to walk away from the whole deal. He said, I would have done the same thing sooner. I said, okay, you don't want to cooperate? When he brought his ass over here in America, excuse my French, Joe Mama, I would have been like this. Okay, you don't want to cooperate? I'll let Russia deal with you. For real. Yeah, I just let Russia deal with you. Just let Russia deal with Zelensky. That's what Trump was saying. That's what probably a lot of his advisors were saying. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, Mr. President, we can make a deal. Oh, Mr. President, we can make a deal. You want the mineral samples? Okay, I give you the mineral samples, only on one condition. You must protect me from Russia. You must protect me from Russia. And I got to still remain to be the president of Ukraine. Because, if you do this for me, I do anything that you want. I do anything you want, Mr. President. You think he went down something like that, though, Joe? You think it might have went down something like, I know I'm ad-libbing a little bit, but he ain't in no position of bargaining whatsoever. Deep state ain't going to be able to help him. They ain't got no military. They don't have the backing of the people. Before it was like Ukraine, the Ukraine flag, the biolabs that are over there and everything, home of COVID, Joe says, if you remember, we shut off the intelligence sharing. Yeah, exactly. Sharing, and Vlad got awfully close to him with a drone. Yeah. Got awfully close to him. Yeah, that's exactly. We shut off the intelligence sharing. Vladimir could have did anything that he wanted to do with that drone if he really wanted to. He probably could have taken him out, and nobody wouldn't miss him. That's the thing about it, Joe. Nobody would have missed Zelensky. Even his people in Ukraine don't like him. All the men being kidnapped off the street, forced into a fight, a losing battle war, dying for a tyrant that don't give a damn about you. Shoot. Boy, it's worse over there than it is in America. Let me tell you, boy, That's why I said we got it so good over here in America, man. Gosh, blessing America. We getting America together, We coming back into our own, you know what I'm saying? And you farmers, man. Joe, you guys about to, man, your sales and everything going to start taking off. Because right now, America is back. It's going to be the bread basket capital, the Midwest, the way it should have been, where you're going to be taking orders, dealing with, oh, man, it's going to be a beautiful thing, man. And you may not deal with the customers directly, but some of the suppliers, man, you're going to be looking pretty darn good. The orders are going to come in. John Deere, a lot of these tractor things, all this other, man, a lot of stuff, man. A lot of great stuff is going to be happening for the farmers. Congratulations to the farmers, though. Shout out to the farmers. Where my applause at? There we go. To the farmers. An oath to the farmers, That trench welfare is terrible. Worse than city fighting. Yeah, that trench welfare is terrible. You're right about that. You know what I'm saying? Anytime somebody can just give you money and tell you that you don't have to be independent no more, or a nation, or whatever. You don't have to be independent no more, or a country. All you got to do is rely on somebody else doing something for you, like Canada did for all these years. Look at Canada now, man. Do they absolutely? And then They did, and they worst thing with Canada, not getting Pierre in there, man. And like it is, boy, those liberals over there, woo, man, Joe. They gonna pay for it though. I got friends in Canada. I told them, man. I said, unfortunately, I said, you may probably want to start moving, man. If you can get to Alberta, Saskatchewan, get out of that liberal, get out of Ottawa. I'm sorry, Ontario, get out of there. Get out, make sure you're not in Montreal. Get out of these liberal ass areas, man, and move. Manitoba, get out of those areas. You want to go over there out west. Go out west, young man. And that way you're protected. Because if that deal does go through, you'll be an American, but it'd probably be a territory, or maybe what you think, Joe? 51st state for Alberta, or a territory? I probably see it more than a territory than a state. Joe Mama says 3 days old beef calves are being $1,300 to $1,400 a piece. That's not a typo. Wow. 3-day-old calves are being what? $1,300 to $1,400 a piece. That's no typo, and that's no bull. Oh my gosh. No bovine. Oh wow. Territory like Puerto Rico. Yeah, I could see Alberta more like a territory like Puerto Rico as opposed to a state. Because we want them as a territory anyway. We don't need them as a state. Even though Alberta is big, but they would benefit like Puerto Rico has benefited. So I welcome that. Very conservative out west. Was it Alberta, Saskatchewan? Yeah, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, you know. So yeah, very, very conservative areas, you know. Canadian Ricans, I know, right? Yeah, we'd be like Guam, man. You know what I'm saying? U.S. Virgin Islands, and ain't nothing wrong with it. Those are territories, man. They're gonna benefit 100%. I like Canada, man. I would visit. I've never been to Alberta, but I would Edmonton. I would go over there if they become like a territory and things like that, man. Shit, I could spend U.S. money and all this other stuff. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they can still keep their nationalists about Canada and things, but they'll just be a territory of the United States. And they're on board with it. A lot of young people, though, man. Joe, a lot of young Canadians are out there in Alberta, man. I'm happy about the Generation Z. Boy, you guys are really stepping up. Shout out to Generation Z, man. Generation Z, boy. More conservatism. They're not buying it. Yeah. They're not buying it. Yep. So shout out to the youngsters, man. That's what's up. I remember when I was a youngster before, I used to spend a lot of time in Canada. Had a Canadian girlfriend, going over the border and stuff, you know, dealing with customs and everything. I sure did, man. You know, I was there. I was about that life. You know. Unfortunately, this is before I was into politics. So I was raised in a household under a lot of liberal ways. You know, because like I said, you know, growing up in the Black community, the Democratic Party, you know, which I never voted Democrat though, but my mother, most of my family voted Democrat all their life. And I used to always ask my mother, I said, Mom, why you vote Democrat? Because what is the point? Her only thing she can say, she said that Black people have died to vote, being to have an opportunity to vote, which wasn't true at all. Because I had to remind her about the Republican Party and the amendments that allow Blacks. I think it was the 15th Amendment to allow Blacks to vote. And then the poll tax they had to get rid of, because at the time they were charging Blacks to vote. It was called a poll tax. So after I gave her some of those facts, but Democrats tell you this. I had to walk my mother down. Now my mother is a conservative, man. You know, shout out to my mom, you know. Yeah, my mother have been on the channel before, though. She been on my live before. I told my mother next time when we get some time, I'm gonna bring you on my live again, you know. But yeah, my mother is a conservative, a registered Republican now, you know, thanks to her son, you know, and opening up her eyes where she see the light. She see the light, you know. She gets so tickled watching Trump. You know what I'm saying? Before, she used to hate Trump, you know what I'm saying? Boy, she couldn't stand Trump, man, you know what I'm saying? But had to give her some education, you know? And yeah, I got some other relatives that hate Trump, you know, but you know, I let it go, you know. I can't win them all, you know, because they're not in my household, you know, and things. So that's cool. It'd be nice if they were to watch or listen to some of these streaming shows and podcasts, though, because you know there's a lot of information that they don't know about. Joe Mama says they use the party's flipped flop bullshit. Yeah, they really do. They love saying that. Oh yeah, the party switched. No, the party switched. We know that the Democrats they have used different tactics, but it's still the same racist as they were then. All for slavery, Jim Crow, segregation. And these are the things I was explaining to my mom, you know, about. It wasn't no big secret. But in the black community, it was, though, because these so-called black leaders and things, they got paid by the Democratic Party. And they knew, some of them really knew the truth that that the Republican Party was the party of our ancestors originally, along with the Whig, it was the abolitionists, as well as the Whig Party, which is the whites. So it was blacks and whites that stopped the spread of slavery out to the West. So that was the thing about it, you know, looking at the history of it. But we already know the Democrats don't want us to know that truth. And I know I covered that already, though, but they come in the room still arguing, still upset, still fighting, still foaming at the mouth. Still talking about you follow Trump? Oh my gosh, he's a racist. What did the person say yesterday in the room? A Nazi, the Orange Man, Nazi, Ku Klux Klan member, all this other nonsense. Yep. So other than that, though, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead on and shut this one down. Oh, but we had a good time, man. Every time I'm on my computer, though, Joe, I notice the algorithm don't shoot as high as when it does on my phone. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't really been able to figure that out yet. But it's all good, though, man. It's all good. Joe Mama says the Democrats stole liberal. A liberal is a libertarian. That is true. Yeah, that is true. Because we know the true libertarians believe in, they don't like big government, live and let live. Everybody, you know, have a right to be able to do what they want as long as it doesn't infringe on me and my rights and so forth. So I get the true term of liberalism. I mean, libertarian, which you don't really see too many old school libertarians anymore. Isn't RFK Jr. A libertarian, even though his family was a Democrat, you know? Your algorithm gone down when I'm here. It's all good, though, Joe, man. Whether it go up or down, man. It's all good, though, man. I notice it's better on my phone, though. I've been noticing that because somebody else said the same thing, you know, about their channel. Yeah, I know you're a libertarian. You're one of the a few libertarians though that follow me in here. I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure. I think Omega is a libertarian too. I know he's moderate for real, and I believe Sherry as well too. I know at least the three of you guys are definitely more neutral, you know, in the things though. You know, we don't worship a party. It ain't about the left or the right. It's about what's right. Right now, the MAGA thing is what's right now. It just makes sense. So yeah, Trump is bringing a lot of that old school libertarian stuff back. We don't need big government. We need smaller government, you know, going back to the Constitution and being allowed to, you know, have freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, though. And gotta love that, though. We don't need an outreach of government telling us what to do, what to say, stripping our rights away, all this other type of stuff. We should have free travel without being harassed. Where's your papers? What is this? Nazi Germany? Checkpoint Charlie? What the, you know? Gestapo's coming in or whatever. That's what the Constitution is about, you know? We got the Sixth Amendment, you know what I'm saying? You know, for what's it from a you know what I'm saying? Which one is it? For a legal search and seizure, you know, and things like that. Yeah, to a speedy trial for I think that's the Seventh Amendment. There is to be laws enforced. That's what Joe Mama said. Equally to have a civil society. Yeah, absolutely. You got to have some laws. But what I like about America, the laws come from the people. All the people agree on what the laws, which are people's rights. And as long as our rights are not being trampled on and violated like the Democrats have done, they have trampled on our rights with Homeland Security. They have trampled on our rights with the COVID thing, telling us that mandate mask must be worn 6 feet socially, or we're going to do this to you. We're going to do that to you. Vaccines. That's not freedom, and it's not liberty, and it sure isn't the pursuit of happiness at all. We were under a police state and things, as well as with the police state, we already know what they can do with that, though. Martial law, surveillance. They got all these stupid cameras and the supercomputers spying on everybody. Trump had to stop a lot of this stuff, infringing on our rights and stuff. The CIA, the FBI was going willy-nilly, going willy-nilly and everything. There's a lot of laws enforce equality to have a civil society. Yep, it sure is. I love reading that, Yeah, man. So that's exactly what it is, though. Yeah, John, man. Yeah, I'm glad to see you back on. I know Sherry is in the background, though, Yeah, she'll make a comment. She always does, though, Yeah, give Sherry the harp. She always liked that harp. Yeah, she loves the harp, Ladies get the harp. Yeah, so that's cool, Yeah, man. It's looking good. So other than that, though, yeah, whether the viewers are big or small, it's all good. You would have had your hand full yesterday, man. I don't know. I think you said you were on. I didn't even bother reading the comments anymore. It was coming in so quick and so fast. So I said, skip it. Because normally I try to read everything and stuff. And my mods wasn't in there at the time, I know Dwight showed up. I gave him a shout out. I don't know who else showed up, but I just started seeing some people's stuff was deleted. I said, oh, yeah. They got mad at me yesterday, not acknowledging them either, though. They were upset, boy. I was loving it, too. I always love it when I get some trolls in there, though, man. Yeah, because they want to act like they want to get me all upset, No, crazy as heck, though, So roasted Shri. I got that opportunity. I said I was going to get him. And then we talked about the trucking thing, too, with the English and all that. Then RFK Jr., we talked about that as well. He's doing an excellent job in the health industry and things, getting America. It's going to take some time for America to heal because, once again, we've been subjected to a lot of chemical processed things in the food. Yeah. Joe Mama says, I like trolling trolls. Yeah, I do too. I do enjoy trolling trolls, though, when they come in here. I enjoy when they see that blue in here, they just say, no. They want to come in here and say something. I know they do. And like I said, they're more welcome to come in here, though. I ain't going to do like the liberals do. Oh, no, you can't say anything. Oh, my gosh. Oh, this and that. You hear that Nancy Pelosi is under investigation. What you think? You think that she has a strong chance of going to prison? Yeah, Joe says, but I can't type on this phone and bounce through though the field. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Shit, I had to wear my glasses, man, sometimes on my phone. But yeah, it was all good, man. I just ignore them. See what I had to say. I was on my soapbox for a little while. It was almost 2 hours, believe it or not. Man, I was on the roll cooking, man. I was cooking yesterday. Woo, I was cooking their ass, man. I was cooking, man. Crisco. Boy, I had Crisco in the frying pan cooking those damn elites. I sure did. I didn't hold it up, man. Boy, talked about all of the major characters, Yep, sure did. I ain't hold them up. Joe says, so is Schumer and they are talking about investigating AOC. Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. And also Adam Shifty Shift too. Yeah, they own him too. So these people that Chuck Schumer, AOC, Jasmine, Hood Rat Crockett. Let me see. Let me see here. Who? Oh yeah, Nasty Pelosi. I'm sure Maxine Wicked West Waters though, because of that AID fund, that USAID fund, the slush fund that they were stealing money from. Yeah, my only pushback with Elon Musk, I would say this though, Joe. I wish that Elon wouldn't have made himself available to the public so much, because a man of his stature do not need to be on the front line though. And had he would have been in the background doing the Doge thing, I think that his car company and a lot of other things, out of sight. This old saying goes, out of sight, out of mind. Because one thing about it, you don't see George Soros standing up and out in front. He just does things all in the shadows though. The emperor, you know what I'm saying, like on some Darth Sidious. Yeah, that's what I said yesterday. I said that he acts more like Darth Sidious, you know what I'm saying? Yep. Yeah, Darth Sidious. Yep. So that's what that's about. He's on the Darth Sidious type of stuff, George Soros and things, What you say about that, George Soros, though? You're going to keep being evil? You're going to keep doing what you're doing to stop Trump and the Patriots? Actually, that was my voice, Joe, that did this. I did the sound bite of the evil laugh. That was actually me, Yeah, so I do a pretty good Darth Sidious, Yeah, there you go, one more time. You would have never known it was me, didn't you? Yeah, Darth Sidious. Yeah, so that's George Soros as Darth Sidious, ladies and gentlemen, or Darth Hideous. I think I called him Darth Hideous because he's so hideous looking, Yep. So other than that, though, yeah, man, that's mainly it, having a little fun with it, do a few voices and things like that, So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, this is something else. Yeah, Elon pissed. Yeah, they bit the hand that fed them, right? It's amazing how much he and Tucker Carlson have come to realize the truth. Yeah, it's true. Because, yeah, Elon was really, really he was like neutral for real, Then even what's his name? Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan wasn't as much as he is now, though. All these guys seem to like Tucker Carlson. You saw what happened to him. They fired him off of Fox News, though, So, but he's been doing so much better now. Yeah. He don't need to be on the forefront like that, though, Yeah, that's the only pushback that I would say, though. Let Trump be out front and let the executive people that work under Trump, and that way he can be in the background doing what he does, though, because, he don't need to be out on the front, no, man. Yeah, he's not an elector, even though he worked for the government, but he don't need to be out on the front. And I agree with Trump. We got to protect our intelligent, smart people. Do not need to be out there on the front line. No. Mm-hmm. But yeah, other than that, I'm gonna go ahead on and fold this thing down, shut it down, and get on out here Saturday night and make it happen like the captain, get out here and make myself some money, some moolah, some dinero, some one, you know what I'm saying? Yep, that's what I'm going to do. Get out here and make some money, Yeah. But yeah, man, other than that, yeah, it's been real cool though, been real quiet on the home front. Everybody is out and about. It's Saturday, Yep, I'll be on tomorrow. I'm gonna do one. Again, I'm gonna try to see what topic I'm gonna do because I know I'm behind on some of the ones, even some of the ones you suggested. But yeah, I'm gonna come back around and do it and go from there, even though I do like doing it on the computer, but but yeah, it's gonna be all good. Yeah, I'll see you next time, man. It's good seeing you again, Joe. John, yeah, it's good seeing you. Sherry is always in the background, watching, listening, and waiting, Yeah, that's cool. That's the way to be, Yeah, that way, yeah, because you don't need to have this smoke, like that, Yeah, because people crazy today, Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had my camera on, showed my face and everything, I sure did. All right. But other than that, though, I'll see you later, dear John, man. I appreciate you for showing up. And I appreciate everyone else, too. People that even popped in and stuff, Omega. I appreciate you as well. We got 1000 RR, We got what's his name? Roadkill. Barbecue Roadkill. Dan the Corn Man representing Ohio over there in Columbus area. We have let me see here. Who else? Dwight Owens, personal friend of mine. We also have Sherry. Sherry, excuse me. Sherry. We have Sherry lady. Sherry lady. Sherry lady. I like that song, by the way, Let me see here. Who else? Angelica. Yep. I ain't seen Holly in a long time either. Holly. But other than that, though, ladies and gentlemen, I am out. Think I covered. Oh yeah, what's the other guy too? Billy Sharp. I haven't seen Billy Sharp in a long time. You got to get some more moderators and stuff though too. But yeah, it's all good. And then Jimmy, yeah, Jimmy. He got a nice channel too. I moderate on his channel. I gotta make him a moderator too. So I'll be sure to do that though as well. And then Miss G. I haven't seen Miss G in a while though. Yep, Miss G over there living in Greece. I haven't talked to Miss G in a while though, But yeah, I am back, Miss G, if that's you listening, but I am back. Other than that, oh yeah, I gotta say Komistika to Miss G, That's all right. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, so I'm about to go ahead and shut it down though. I thank you guys for listening, putting up with my antics and things for today or tonight. Got to go out here and make that money. Yep. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Oh, yeah, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Those that are watching the video, yeah, check it out and things. And destroy that like button and stuff like that. I appreciate a lot of new subscribers and things like that. Got a new computer. I did an unboxing with that, showed my setup and stuff. Now I can process a lot faster now, Yep. All right. You guys take care. See you tomorrow. Peace and chicken grease. I am out.